Kai lunged in again, his leg whipping forward with terrifying force. Everyone expected Sun Wu to dodge, or at least block. But instead, he did the unthinkable. He threw his own leg straight into the path of Kai's kick. The sound of bone against bone cracked through the arena. The old man in the crowd flinched. This wasn't defense, it was defiance. Sun Wu had met the attack head-on, using his own bones as weapons. Pain exploded through his leg. For a heartbeat, the crowd was certain his bones had been shattered to dust. Sun Wu staggered. 2 crushing blows had already put him on the ground before. His body was screaming, barely holding together. He could feel the torn muscle, the raw agony radiating through his leg. Kai's doping-powered strikes weren't just brutal, they were inhuman. Kai moved in for the finish, his final, merciless kick arcing through the air. The crowd held its breath. This was it. Then the impossible happened. Crack! Kai's leg buckled. His bone snapped under the collision, twisting at a sickening angle. Gasps erupted through the arena. The man who broke everyone else's bones had just broken his own. Kai's face twisted in disbelief. His reinforced skin was flawless, untouched, but inside, his bones were crumbling. His joints had already been screaming earlier in the fight, and now they were giving out. Sun Wu knew the truth. He had gambled everything, letting his flesh tear so that his unnaturally hard bones could do the damage. Kai's skin was like armor, but armor means nothing if the body beneath it can't withstand the shock. Manager Yen Wu stared, wide-eyed. How is this possible? He doesn't even look injured on the outside. Kim leaned forward, voice steady. Because the damage isn't on the surface. His bones were already failing. Sun Wu's bones, they're like steel. Kai might as well have kicked a wall with his bare legs. The arena was silent for a moment, the weight of the revelation sinking in. Then, Sun Wu lifted his bloodied face and roared in victory. The old man's eyes welled with pride. This boy was a miracle, standing tall after a fight no one else could have survived. But not everyone was celebrating. Miho narrowed his eyes. There was no way this was natural. No ordinary human had bones like that. From the shadows above, the underground arena's boss leaned forward, intrigued. Are you sure this boy isn't doping? The professor adjusted his glasses. The tests were clear. He's clean. Once this round ends, we'll test him again. But I assure you, Sun Wu is fighting on nothing but his own body. The crowd erupted. Sun Wu had done the impossible, but the questions about him were only just beginning. The boss leaned back in his chair, eyes narrowing. This boy, Sun Wu, wasn't normal. His power wasn't something you just stumbled across in a street fighter. No. He needed answers. Who were Sun Wu's parents? Where did this miracle come from? The first step was clear. Trace his bloodline. That same night, in the quiet halls of the hospital, a shadow slipped into the room where Sun Wu's parents lay. Sun Wu's mother stirred, half awake, and saw a man in white. For a moment, she thought he was hospital staff. But then she noticed the suit under the coat, the polished black shoes, the silence in his movements. Another man followed behind him, also in a black suit, his eyes cold and watchful. Back in the arena, Sun Wu's body was failing. After the brutal fight, he was carried into the recovery room, bloodied and barely conscious. Manager Yen Wu stood over him, jaw tight, heart heavy. Sun Wu had done the impossible, but could he do it again? Could this broken body survive another round? During the mandatory physical test, Yen Wu and Kim spoke in hushed voices. The plan was dangerous: inject Sun Wu with doping, without telling him. If he survived, if he won, then maybe he could become a contender for the championship. But his next opponents weren't just strong, they were monsters compared to what he'd faced. Yan Wu's conscience twisted. The rules were clear: doping could only be given with the fighter's consent. But the boss dismissed his doubts with a single cold line. It's just a test. No one will know. His body is different, maybe the drugs won't even work on him. If that's true, we'll decide whether he's worth keeping. And so the order was set. In the dim recovery room, Sun Wu lay on a bed, chest rising and falling shallowly. His skin glistened with sweat. His leg was bandaged, still bleeding through. A man in white gloves approached him quietly, holding a syringe that gleamed under the fluorescent light. At the same time, in the arena, Yen Wu and Kim were running the numbers. By the rules, one more victory would push Sun Wu into the top 16, the tier where the real money flowed. Yen Wu shook his head. Who's going to bet on a fighter this injured? He's done. But Kim leaned forward. You're wrong. He's won 2 matches without doping. People are starting to notice. In the history of this arena, no one has ever pulled that off. If he wins again, and wins big, he'll be unstoppable. Still, Kim wasn't naive. He reminded Yen Wu that they had other fighters, safer bets. Winning without doping is a fantasy. The boss can buy new blood anywhere. Sun Wu? he's just useful for now. But for Sun Woo, there was no choice. If he wanted his parents to live, if he wanted the boss's money to keep paying for their hospital bills, he would have to fight, even if that meant letting the drugs into his body. Manager Yenwoo finally hardened his resolve. If his body rejects the doping, we discard him. What Sun Woo didn't know was far worse. Kim had already planned his future. If Sun Woo couldn't prove his worth, his parents' treatment would vanish. The help would stop. And Sun Woo, bleeding, broken, and blind to the schemes around him, would keep walking into the ring, fighting until he lost, or fighting until he died. Manager Yenwoo still wavered. Sun Woo's strength was already terrifying without any chemical boost. Why risk breaking him? But Kim leaned in, his voice low and sharp, as if cutting through Yenwoo's hesitation. You're being naive, brother. If you keep shielding that boy, you're putting your own life on the line. Kim's eyes gleamed. Unlike Yenwoo, he wasn't worried about Sun Woo's safety, he was savoring the chaos. This was more than a game for him. This was ambition. The underground arena wasn't just about fights, it was a ladder, and Kim wanted to climb it. Aligning himself with the boss meant power. And power meant he could one day strip everything from his brother and take the company for himself. Yenwoo, blind to the rot festering so close to him, still believed Kim was loyal. Moments later, the agent returned, holding a sealed folder. Inside were the results of Sun Woo's doping test. The room went silent as they scanned the report. The findings were shocking. Sun Woo's body didn't respond to doping at all. His system simply rejected it, as if the drug had never entered. An impossibility in the underground world. Fighters lived and died by those enhancements. To see a body that ignored them entirely, it was as rare as a ghost. Kim's lips curled. So it's true, the boy can't be enhanced. His tone carried both awe and disappointment. Awe at the unnatural toughness of Sun Woo's bones. Disappointment that such potential couldn't be exploited. For Yenwoo, the answer was simple and merciless. Then we end it. Stop the parents' treatment. Wrap it up quickly. It wasn't just cold calculation. It was erasure. Without his parents, Sun Woo would have no leverage, no reason to keep fighting. Not long after, the fighters were summoned to the lobby. Miho scanned the room, realizing the final 67 had been chosen. The atmosphere was tense, the smell of sweat, blood. The old man furrowed his brows, worried the boy hadn't recovered from his brutal clash with Kai. Amanda, however, seemed almost relieved. By rule, the next round couldn't begin until every fighter was cleared. A pause meant more time to breathe. Miho stretched, trying to shake off the fatigue, when his eyes caught Amanda casually bending her legs. His breath hitched. The way her legs moved, it was unnatural, boneless, like her body was made of liquid muscle. He remembered the warnings. In this place, fighters gambled with their lives every night. Many didn't walk away at all. And yet, somehow, these three, Amanda, the old man, and himself, had carved their way to the final 62 survivors. The old man grinned at Miho, flexing his massive hands. The skin stretched, and then his palms swelled grotesquely large, big enough to crush a head like an egg. He chuckled, voice booming. Never thought doping would make these old bones this strong. Look at this muscle. Perfect, isn't it? Miho nodded, but unease twisted in his gut. The old man was powerful, yes, but what about Amanda? She had a way of winning that made no sense. She never threw punches, never once used her hands in a fight, yet her opponents dropped like flies. When he finally asked her about it, Amanda only smiled, her lips curling into a sly grin. Not telling you yet, she teased. What if you're standing across from me tomorrow? Her words lingered, playful but dangerous. Meanwhile, in his office, manager Yenwoo poured himself a drink to steady his nerves. Kim, he muttered, his voice heavy, recommend me someone suitable. Someone who can guarantee a win. Kim didn't hesitate. He reached for a thick file from his briefcase and slid it across the desk. His smile was faint, but it carried the weight of calculation, as if every page in that folder was part of a trap already in motion. Inside was a single name, Ryo Ichika, the fighter chosen to face Sun Woo in the next round. Kim's smile was razor thin. Perfect, he thought. With this, Sun Woo would fall, and his parents would vanish along with him. Two problems, erased in one stroke. In the recovery room, Sun Woo's eyes snapped open. His body trembled, sweat rolling down his face. For a moment, he thought it was a nightmare, but the voices were still ringing in his ears. He had overheard the agents before they tried to inject him. If his body doesn't react, we'll get rid of his parents and finish him in the fight. His breath caught. His parents. His heart pounded harder than any punch he had ever taken. He couldn't lie here anymore. He had to escape. He had to save them. In the director's office, the air was heavy with cigarette smoke. The director leaned forward across the polished desk, eyes fixed on the scientist's report. So, what's inside this boy? The scientist adjusted his glasses, voice trembling with excitement. He's extraordinary. Doping doesn't affect him at all. His bones are nearly 10 times denser than a normal human's. And his recovery rate, it isn't healing. It's regeneration. The director's jaw tightened. They had been pouring years into doping research, hoping to force regeneration artificially. But Sunwoo's body already had it. A natural miracle. Have his parents been secured? He asked. The scientist hesitated. No, before our men arrived, someone else took them. The director's face darkened. Someone else was moving the pieces. Meanwhile, Sunwoo pushed himself up from the recovery bed, every step a battle against pain. He stumbled to the door, but froze. A girl was standing there, smiling as if she'd been waiting all along. I'm Cha Sang-gun, she said casually. Sunwoo's fists clenched. He tried to push past her, but she didn't move. Her voice was calm, almost mocking. You don't need to search for your parents. I'm the one taking care of them. Sunwoo's body shook with rage. Later, in his office, manager Yenwoo received the report. Sunwoo's parents are missing. Kim didn't even flinch. It must be the arena's work. Yenwoo stared at him for a moment, then sighed. Ignore it. We have bigger matters. Is the next fighter ready? Kim's smile returned. Yes. Any fighter can be summoned by VIPs, from any zone. And Ryo Ichika has already been called. Back in the recovery room, Sunwoo's anger boiled over. Where are they? He shouted at Cha Sang-gun. His voice cracked with desperation. Cha Sang-gun shook her head, still smiling faintly. Calm down. Running around won't save them. Sunwoo's eyes blazed. Whoever blocks me, I'll destroy. Her smile faded just a little. The person who brought you here has already cut ties. He wants your parents gone too. And that lone shark you beat up, he's looking for you now. Her words sank in like knives. Betrayed from every side, hunted from the shadows, Sunwoo realized the truth. He wasn't just fighting in the arena anymore. He was fighting to survive a world that wanted him erased. She came to meet him personally, something no one expected. Most VIPs sent agents or made offers from the shadows. But Cha Sang-gun stood before him herself, smiling with disarming confidence. Sunwoo narrowed his eyes. Who are you? And why are you doing all this? Her answer was simple. I only want one thing, you. Sunwoo froze. Though she was young, Cha Sang-gun wasn't ordinary. She was one of the 16 VIPs allowed to set foot in the underground arena itself. Everyone else, no matter how rich or powerful, could only watch the live broadcast from afar. Cha Sang-gun leaned closer, her voice calm but sharp. The people targeting your parents won't stop. If you run, you'll only drag them deeper into danger. There's only one path left for you. If you want them to live, you have to keep winning. No matter how brutal the fight, no matter how strong your opponents. Her words cut through him. She went on, revealing her own game. She was betting everything, her company shares, her future, on tearing down her two stepbrothers. If Sunwoo kept winning, she would take control of her father's empire. With money and influence, she could sweep away the lone sharks and silence every enemy standing in his way. Still, Sunwoo's eyes stayed cold. What kind of deal can even exist in a place like this? Cha Sang-gun smiled knowingly. The arena has rules. VIPs and fighters must honor their deals. If anyone breaks them, they're eliminated instantly. That's why the underground keeps its reputation clean. And don't forget, if no VIP chooses you, you'll be eliminated too. Like it or not, you need me. And I need you. But trust didn't come easily. To Sunwoo, all the rich were the same, parasites feeding on fighters until nothing was left. She had no proof his parents were safe. At entry, every item but clothing was stripped away. Yet she leaned in, her voice dropping to a whisper. I know secrets about your parents, about your bloodline, secrets even you don't know. His breath caught. His parents, his genetics. He had never heard anything like this before. Just as the questions burned on his tongue, the door creaked open. The guard signaled. Time was up. Cha Sang-gun rose, smoothing her skirt, her eyes never leaving his. She stepped close, her words brushing his ear like a vow and a warning all at once. I'm putting everything on the line to save your parents. You don't need to run. Just fight. Keep winning. That's the only way forward. And then she was gone, leaving Sunwoo with nothing but her promise, and the fire of doubt raging in his chest.
Their conversation keeps replaying in his mind every word, every pause. As if the universe itself was pushing him to trust. But here, trust was a luxury no one could afford. Now, he faced a choice, one that could either save his family, or destroy them completely. He could feel the crushing weight of that decision pressing on his shoulders. Cut to Fighting Wards, room number 10. A room filled with 5 battle-hardened fighters. Sun Wu's roommates. Each stood beside their guide, while the old man stared at the massive screen showing prize rankings. He spoke up. After the last round's victories, your ranks have risen quite a bit. The screen flickered, and his eyes stopped on one name, Sun Wu. He nodded slightly. Even Sun Wu has moved up, he said. But those injuries, they've hurt his prize pool. Standing beside him, Mino commented. He's still recovering, right? That last fight was brutal. No VIP's gonna bet on an injured fighter. Just then the door slid open again. The guide drone's voice echoed through the room. Player Sun Wu has returned to Fighting Wards, room number 10. Sun Wu stepped in. Every eye turned toward him. The old man greeted first. You're looking better than I expected. There was a touch of relief in his voice. Sun Wu glanced around the room, cold, bitter. Looks like all of you made it through your fights without a single scratch. His tone dripped with disappointment. The old man frowned, confused. What are you trying to say? Sun Wu's gaze dropped to the floor. My last fight left me in pieces. You're all strong, skilled, dangerous. And I can't help but wonder, am I the weak one here? His voice trembled with frustration. His fists clenched tight. The old man and Amanda exchanged a silent look. Anger and determination burned together in Sun Wu's eyes. No matter what, he said, his voice firm. I have to make it to the round of 16. If I don't, my family's in danger. His desperation was raw, impossible to ignore. He turned toward them. Please, help me. I need to become stronger. I'll do anything. The old man stared at him, shocked, worried. Just as he was about to speak, Sun Wu interrupted. Tell me, old man, am I untrainable? Do I not belong here? Amanda finally broke the silence. Her voice carried authority and power. What you need is an ultimate move. Sun Wu and the old man both turned toward Amanda, eyes filled with curiosity and intensity. Amanda's sharp gaze locked onto Sun Wu. No fighter can ever dominate without a signature technique. Her tone was razor sharp. In this world where we fight literal monsters, a lethal move isn't optional, it's essential. She stepped closer. Tell me, Sun Wu, do you even know what your specialty is? What could your ultimate move be? Sun Wu froze. His eyes widened. My specialty, he stammered. I don't know. The old man crouched beside him, examining his leg carefully. What about a calf kick? He suggested thoughtfully. Use the bone in your shin. Sun Wu blinked, processing the idea. The old man continued. I've trained many fighters, but very few have the leg control and power that you do. In your last fight, your leg bone took Kai's full force low kick, and you still stood your ground. That's exceptional bone strength. Sun Wu's mind replayed that brutal clash. Every strike, every impact. The pain still burned in his memory. Slowly, he nodded. I trust the strength of my bones. His voice carried a new spark of confidence. The old man stood up, excitement creeping into his tone. Calf kicks aren't what they used to be, Sun Wu. They've evolved, more refined, and honestly, more deadly. If you master this technique, one precise strike could end a fight instantly. A move that can save your life, at the right moment. He demonstrated the motion, stance, angle, precision, and force, every detail perfect. This isn't about brute strength, he explained. Technique is everything. When executed correctly, the impact is devastating. Sun Wu stepped up, absorbing every detail, every instruction. He took a deep breath, focused, and unleashed a powerful calf kick against the wall. A crack echoed through the room, sharp and thunderous. The old man's eyes widened in surprise. Then a proud grin spread across his face. That sound, he chuckled, shaking his head. Sun Wu, you've got a natural touch for this. Looks like you're starting to get it. But just as that brief moment of satisfaction filled the air, a thunderous boom echoed through the walls. The entire room shook. The old man's face turned grim, worry etched across his brow. Where is that sound coming from? Heavy thuds reverberated through the hallway, shaking the entire fighting ward. The scene shifted, revealing the source. Behind a closed door, a lone figure was training. Each strike precise, fierce, and filled with raw power. His name, Ryo Ichika, and he's the man destined to be Sun Wu's next opponent. Ranked 15th in the prize pool. A perfect storm of lethal skill and raw strength. Cut back to the tense atmosphere inside Fighting Ward room number 10. The old man spoke urgently. Sun Wu, if you can drop your opponent with a perfect calf kick, you can finish the fights faster, no unnecessary brawls. And if you make it to the next round without injuries, your prize pool ranking will rise even higher. More eyes on you means bigger stakes, bigger rewards. Sun Wu was about to respond, but before he could, a shadow appeared behind him. He spun around, instantly startled. It was Menon. Sun Wu's eyes widened in shock. Menon smirked slightly. This, he said in a cold, calm voice. Menon's expression hardened, dead serious. He looked around the room, scanning every face. Unbelievable, he said coldly. None of you noticed, did you? Everyone exchanged confused glances. Menon's eyes narrowed in disbelief. You still don't get it. Sun Wu already has a special move. The old man frowned, puzzled. What are you getting at, Menon? Menon stepped forward, pointing directly at Sun Wu. His eyes gleamed with sharp intensity. His headbutt. The room went silent. Think back to his fight with Kai, Menon continued. He took brutal headbutts again and he was still standing, like nothing happened. That's no small feat. I'm telling you, Sun Wu's skull is the toughest I've ever seen. Sun Wu's mouth fell open shocked. He hadn't realized Menon had been watching his fight that closely. Menon's eyes narrowed even more, his voice filled with a strange, unsettling enthusiasm. I want to test that skull of yours, Sun Wu. He started walking forward, but Sun Wu instinctively stepped back, trying to create distance. The old man immediately raised a hand. Hold it, a stronger headbutt can damage the attacker too. That's no small gamble, especially against the monsters in this ward. Sun Wu clenched his fists, remembering his brutal match with Kai. He shook his head slowly. If I keep using my head as a weapon, I risk brain damage. Maybe worse. I might not even survive 2 more rounds. Menon's face dropped, disappointment mixed with frustration. That's a strange thing to say, Sun Wu, he muttered, his eyes burning with intensity. You think anyone here fights without risking their life? Everyone in this arena knows the stakes, life or death. You really think you'll make it further without pushing your limits? The entire room went dead silent. Menon's words hit like a hammer. Sun Wu's heart pounded in his chest. He realized the truth. No matter how much of an edge he had, if he couldn't face the risks, it would all mean nothing. Menon slowly ran a finger across his throat. If you hold back, he said coldly, then you're already dead. The chilling gesture hung in the air, burning its mark into everyone's minds. The old man clenched his jaw, wanting to argue, but he couldn't, because deep down he knew Menon was right. Brutal as it sounded, the truth in Menon's words was undeniable. Menon turned to the old man, his gaze sharp as steel. He stepped closer and said quietly, you're in no position to be worrying about Sun Wu right now. The old man's eyes widened, caught off guard. Menon's tone darkened. Your turn's next, isn't it? And your opponent is Hansu, rank number 9. The weight of those words filled the air. A flicker of concern crossed the old man's face. The scene shifted to a dimly lit control chamber deep within the facility. The director of the fighting ward sat before a glowing digital pad, scrolling through Hansu's combat stats. This boy's doping level, it's terrifying, he muttered. Behind him, rows of containment pods lined the walls, each holding fighters in suspended states, half resting, half experimented on. Among them was Kai. The director turned slightly toward a man standing respectfully beside him, a doctor. You did well bringing him here, the director said, eyes still fixed on the data. The doctor bowed deeply. Thank you, sir, because of your generosity. My son was able to receive this treatment and earn a place in the fighting ward. As he bowed lower, a flicker of unease crossed his mind, a thought he couldn't suppress. He began to remember that black night, the night that changed his life forever. He could still see himself, running home in the rain, gasping for breath, apologizing to his son for being late. But the moment he opened the door, he froze. Han was lying on the floor, his frail body trembling, too weak to even stand. His hands and legs had wasted away, muscles eaten alive by a rare degenerative disease. Dad, Han whispered weakly, looking up. I fell. I can't get up. Please help me. A wave of helplessness crashed through the doctor. Tears filled his eyes as he dropped to his knees beside his son. He had saved countless lives as a doctor, but for his own child, he was powerless. Days turned into weeks. Han's condition worsened, each symptom tearing deeper into his father's spirit. Every scream, every hospital night, slowly breaking him apart from the inside. And just when all hope was gone, a message arrived. A mysterious text, from a man who called himself the director of the fighting ward. The doctor had no options left, so he silenced his doubts, and went to the address. It looked ordinary, a plain building, nothing suspicious. But inside, a dark, cold staircase spiraled downward, leading into the unknown. His heart pounded, but for his son he kept walking. At the bottom, he found himself inside a sterile, clinical chamber. Rows of glass pods filled the dimly lit room, bodies suspended inside them, attached to tubes and wires, trapped in some unholy experiment. It was a nightmare, but for the desperate father, there was also a twisted glimmer of hope. On a nearby desk, vials glowed faintly, each one a mixture of life and death. Next to them lay a list of names, scientists, leaders, and influential figures, people he'd only ever seen on the news. His fingers trembled as he scanned the document. It was horrifying, but that fragile light of hope burned in his chest. Maybe, just maybe, this was his son's last chance. Then, the director entered. His face was calm, Com smoothed his eyes, sharp and calculating like a hawk. "Well, doctor," he said with a slight smile. "Looks like you understand what we're doing here." He extended his hand. "This is your chance to save your son, and to become part of something monumental. Join us, you'll have every resource you need, and your son will be taken care of. Think of it," he added softly, "as a collaboration." The doctor's mind spiraled into chaos. One voice screamed inside him, "Don't trust this man." But another voice, the broken one, whispered, "What if he's telling the truth?" Tears welled up in his eyes. He stood there, frozen, trapped between duty and desperation. And in the end, terror triumphed over hope. He ran home without looking back, bursting through the front door, shouting his son's name. But what he saw shattered his soul. Han, his fragile, bruised body barely standing, was trying to hang himself. The doctor rushed forward, pulling him down, clutching him tightly, crying uncontrollably. Han's voice was barely a whisper. "Please, Dad, it hurts so much. I can't live like this anymore." In that moment, the doctor understood. This fight was over. His son was suffering and there was nothing left to save. The next day, he returned to the hospital, and he agreed to the director's terms. From that moment, there was no going back. The man who once swore to save lives had now created something monstrous. A monster that was none other than his own son. The scene snapped back to the present. Han stood silently in the arena corridor. The faint buzz of drones echoed around him. "Fighter Han," the drone announced mechanically. "You may enter the arena now." The massive metal doors groaned open, and Han stepped forward. His expression was cold, unflinching. No fear, no hesitation, just focus. Inside the stadium, the old man was already waiting. Calm, composed, his stance unwavering. The drone's voice echoed through the arena. "Match between old man, rank 22, and Han, rank 9, begins now." And the moment that sound faded, both fighters exploded into motion. Han moved first with blinding speed. It wasn't just fast, it was almost instantaneous. The old man barely had time to react before Han's fingers turned into blades, piercing straight through his right shoulder with brutal precision. The old man's eyes widened. A wave of agony shot through his body. The crowd gasped, but Han didn't flinch. His face was emotionless, as if this was nothing more than routine. Imagine this: you launch the perfect attack, confident you've caught your opponent off guard, only to realize your hand won't move, not because you're frozen, not because you're scared, but because the man you struck is gripping your finger from inside his own body. In that moment, you understand, this isn't a normal fight, this is a battlefield where human limits mean nothing, and overconfidence is the fastest way to die. In the center of the arena, Han stands frozen, disbelief tightening around his chest. His finger is still buried deep inside the old man's right shoulder, but something feels wrong, terribly wrong. Han tries to pull back, nothing happens, not an inch. His expression twists through shock, irritation, and the creeping edge of fear. "What the hell," he growls, "this old man, he's gripping my finger using just his muscles, is he even human?" The old man doesn't react, no pain, no tension, he simply exhales a cold, steady breath that fogs the air like winter seeping into the arena. When he speaks, his tone is calm, almost friendly, but underneath it, something dark ripples. "Hey, friend, don't you think you got a little too close?" Han's pulse spikes. That voice isn't warning him, it's judging him. "Here's some advice," the old man continues. "Being overconfident at the start of a fight usually ends badly." Before Han can even process the words, the old man moves, slowly, deliberately. He raises his right arm into the air, an arm enhanced with unnatural, doped-up power. Han's eyes widen. His finger is still trapped inside the old man's shoulder, locked down, immobilized. Then the old man swings. Not a normal punch, a crushing, bone-shattering hammer strike meant to reduce anything beneath it to rubble. Han's instincts scream, "Move, now." At the final possible instant, he twists his body, pouring every last drop of agility into a desperate escape. The blow misses him by a hair. But the aftermath does not. A deafening crack explodes through the arena, the ground ruptures beneath them, a violent shockwave tears outward, chunks of shattered floor blast into the air and scatter like deadly stone shrapnel. And Han realizes, if his reaction had been even a fraction slower, he wouldn't just have lost an arm, he would have been erased on the spot. Han stumbled back, his chest rising and falling in sharp, uneven breaths as he slapped away flying debris. His finger finally slipped free from the old man's shoulder, but the close call left a violent tremor running through his hand. He didn't bother hiding it. Anyone would shake after surviving a death sentence by a hair. He darted backward, putting precious distance between them. For a moment, the entire arena seemed to exhale, then fall into complete silence. As if the world itself knew something terrifying had just been unleashed. Both fighters resettled their stances. Two predators, two minds calculating, two lives on the edge of a blade. Han's breathing stayed heavy, sweat slid down his temple, but his eyes, sharp, burning, focused, never left the old man. What is he? Is he even human? How can anyone have this kind of power? Questions tore through Han's mind like lightning. Meanwhile, the old man remained exactly as he had been moments ago, upright, unshaken, cold eyes locked onto Han with surgical precision, not a drop of sweat, not a flicker of fatigue. Then he spoke, his voice sliced through the tension like a drawn blade. Your dagger-style techniques, impressive. Han stiffened, but if you want to play like that. The old man's posture shifted, subtle, but enough to send a chill crawling across the arena floor. His expression tightened, darkened, sharpened with intent. Then let me show you my version. High above, in the VIP observation room, the atmosphere thickened with unease. Manager Yen leaned back, his eyes glued to the fight, expression rigid. Beside him, Manager Yen Wu slowly turned toward Kim, disbelief etched across his face. Who is this fighter? He's handling Han Minsu, rank 9, like he's dealing with a toddler. Kim adjusted his glasses, tapping quickly on his device before answering. Sir, his name is Mr. Park. Former bodyguard, specializes in Krav Maga. Yanwu's eyebrow arched slightly. Krav Maga. Kim continued speaking, eyes fixed on the data streaming across his device. In the mid-20th century, when violence against Jews surged, an Israeli soldier developed this martial art to protect civilians. It blends real-world techniques from multiple nations, forming a style built entirely around one goal, survival, especially powerful in close-quarters combat. Yen Wu narrowed his gaze, a martial art created for protection, that usually means it's weak on offense, not exactly our style. He waved a hand as if dismissing the idea entirely. But Kim's voice shifted into something colder. Sir, what if the defense method itself requires the opponent's death? Silence hit the VIP room like a brick. And down in the arena, the atmosphere was stretched to the breaking point. Both fighters stood locked in a murderous stare. The crowd stopped cheering, stopped moving. Thousands of people holding one collective breath, waiting for the next explosion. The old man moved first, without warning, like a lightning bolt tearing through the arena. He dashed forward, his dagger-style technique erupted in a flurry of precise, razor-fast strikes aimed straight for Han's face. But Han just smirked. Slow. His body blurred, an effortless shadow slipping between every lethal blow. He bent, weaved, twisted, flowing around each strike as if the old man were trapped in slow motion. Another strike sliced toward him, clean, sharp, deadly. It hit nothing but air. And then, with chilling precision, Han countered. His finger snapped forward, drilling into the old man's temple in a pinpoint, devastating hit. The impact ripped the old man's glasses off his face, sending them spiraling through the air. Pain shot down his body like an electric surge. But by the time the old man steadied himself, Han had already slipped back into the shadows of the arena, calm, composed, unreadable, not a scratch on him, not a single sign of struggle, his eyes locked onto the old man with the cold, merciless precision of a hunter tracking wounded prey. The old man didn't retreat, he didn't hesitate. He charged again, driven by raw determination. I have to catch him, somehow, he muttered through clenched teeth. But Han whispered lightly to himself, almost amused, he's completely unbalanced, just one oversized arm, how's he planning to keep up with my speed? No matter how he stumbles after me, it's pointless. And at last, the old man understood. Raw force meant nothing against Han Minsu. So he changed everything. He dropped his stance lower, far lower, digging his massive right arm into the ground like a planted pillar, muscles coiled, pressure built, and then, he launched himself, a human cannonball, a missile of muscle and momentum. He shot toward Han so violently, so suddenly, that even Han's eyes widened, just for a fraction of a second. The collision sent Han flying backward, smashing him straight into the arena wall with a thunderous boom that shook the audience out of their silence. The ground beneath the impact fractured in a spiderweb pattern, dust erupting into the air. But Han's inhuman agility saved his life. At the very last possible instant, he twisted his body, redirecting the blow just enough to avoid a fatal hit. The attack had landed. But barely. The old man didn't pause, didn't breathe, didn't lose momentum. He surged forward again, a relentless storm of crushing blows. Each strike faster, heavier, more vicious than the last. A barrage meant to obliterate anything caught inside. Yet Han dodged everything with almost insulting grace, sliding between blows, tilting his head by millimeters, stepping aside as if he were dancing. Each missed strike only fueled the old man's fury, and sharpened Han's smirk. His movements were so sharp, so fluid, so perfectly controlled, it was as if every dodge was a personal insult to the old man's effort. Han's grin stretched wider, predatory, confident, cruel. He hissed under his breath, taunting, told you, useless, try harder. And then he moved. Han slipped through the barrage of strikes like water through a broken dam, effortless, unstoppable, in a blink, he appeared at the old man's flank. His counterattack hit like a blade. A vicious strike slammed into the old man's side. Pain tore across the old man's face as blood streamed down his ribs in a dark, ugly streak. But Han wasn't finished. Not even close. A wicked glint burned behind his eyes as he leaned in, voice dripping with venom. "What's wrong, Grandpa? Can't keep up. Let's see how long that doped-up body of yours lasts." The arena had become a war zone. Pure speed versus raw power. A deadly contrast. Han's attacks sliced through the air with surgical precision, each hit carving deeper, sharper, crueler. The old man's brute strength was the only thing keeping him upright, but even that was starting to crack. His movements slowed. His breathing grew rough, uneven, desperate. The tension in the arena swelled until it felt like the air itself was vibrating. Whispers rippled through the stands. Miho clenched his fists, unable to tear his eyes away. Han's movements, they're not human. This is why he's ranked 9th. But how is the old man supposed to turn this around? Down below, the old man stood blood-soaked and battered, a walking testament to punishment. Yet somehow, impossibly, still on his feet. Han sneered, voice dripping with arrogance. "Impressive you're still standing. But that ridiculous dagger technique of yours, looks like you've abandoned it." Han's voice echoed smugly across the arena. The old man didn't answer. He didn't have to. His trembling body, streaked with blood, said everything about the pain he was holding back. And yet, slowly, painfully, he raised his arm. Han let out a mocking chuckle. "Oh, what's this, guarding up now? Trying to grab me like some amateur wrestler, pathetic." With a roar, Han lunged forward, fingers sharpened into living blades. "Let's see how your defense holds up now." His strike pierced into the old man's gut. Blood exploded outward. A collective gasp tore through the crowd. But then, to everyone's shock, the old man lifted his shaking fist, and punched himself in the stomach. Miho's jaw practically hit the floor. What is he doing? Has he lost his mind? Why is he hitting himself? Amanda leaned forward, eyes narrowing into razor points. "He's not hitting himself. Look closer. He's targeting something else." And then, a scream ripped through the arena. Han jerked backward, face twisted in agony. His fingers, the very weapons that defined his entire fighting style, were crushed. The old man's counterattack had been intentional, precise, calculated, absolutely lethal. Han stumbled away, clutching his mangled hand, shock spreading across his face like wildfire. The tension in the crowd was so thick it could be felt. Murmurs spread through the stands. On the battlefield, the old man, bloodied and battered, still stood his ground. Han sneered and mocked. "Impressive, you're still standing. But your ridiculous dagger technique, you've given up on yourself." The old man didn't reply. His trembling body bore the pain. Still, he slowly raised his arm. Han chuckled. "Oh, what a scene. You're letting your guard down. You're about to take on me like an amateur wrestler? Pathetic." With a roar, Han leaped forward, fingers ready like daggers. "Let's see what your defenses do now." The strike sank into the old man's gut, and blood splattered on the ground. The old man spat out more blood. Gasps echoed through the audience. But to everyone's amazement, the old man raised his trembling fist and punched his own stomach. Han's fingers, his greatest strength, had been crushed. The old man's counterattack was precisely calculated and devastating. Han staggered, clutching his injured hand. His confidence had now turned to confusion and rage. For the first time, the smile was gone from his face. He stared at his shattered fingers in disbelief. But before he could blink, the old man, despite his battered body, charged again. His right fist was tightly clenched, and he launched himself like a freight train. The punch hit Han's gut, shaking the entire arena. Han's body slammed into the wall like a rag doll. Blood dripped from Han's mouth. The old man was not in good shape either. His body trembled violently. Every breath had become agony. He looked at his ruined right arm, which now dangled uselessly. "This arm is finished," he thought grimly. "But I only have one more shot left." As the old man charged one final time, his expression was a mix of desperation and determination, like a sports underdog giving it his all on the final play. Someone had jumped down from the spectator stands. It was Sun Wu. The anger burning in his eyes was no longer just rage, it had become an inferno. His silhouette seemed engulfed in flames as he descended through the air, and the moment he landed, the entire arena fell silent. From behind, Miho's panicked voice echoed across the stadium. "Sun Wu, no." But at this point, no one could stop him. Han was still standing in the center of the ring, smiling proudly after his victory. One of his feet remained planted on the old man's face. The moment he saw Sun Wu approaching, his smile widened even further. "Come on, Sun Wu," Han sneered. Sunwoo landed inside the arena. Sunwoo's voice thundered through the arena. "Take your foot off him, or you'll regret it." Han laughed mockingly. There was a sinister edge hidden beneath his voice. "Worried about your mentor?" he said. "If you've got the guts, come over here and move me yourself." The challenge was clear. And Sunwoo's rage had already crossed the point of control. A crimson glow began radiating from his body, the same terrifying aura that had appeared during his fight against Kai. Sunwoo was just about to charge forward when a drone suddenly flew in front of him, locking its weapons onto him. In a cold, mechanical voice, it announced, "Any unauthorized combat will result in immediate termination." But Sunwoo didn't care. His fists clenched even tighter. "Take your foot off him." The next second, he launched himself straight at Han. Han grinned like a predator preparing to pounce. "Come on," he said. "Let's see how strong you really are." At that moment, Miho jumped into the arena as well. "We have to stop Sunwoo," he shouted. He had barely started running toward him when a figure shot past him like a bolt of lightning. Miho froze in shock. "Who is that? Whose speed is that?" It was Menon. In a single flash, Menon reached Sunwoo, leaped onto his back, and locked him into a tight chokehold. "What are you doing, you idiot?" Menon shouted, urgency filling his voice. Then he added, "If I taught you how to use a headbutt, then at least use it properly before you get yourself killed." Sunwoo was beyond reason. His anger had drowned out every ounce of logic. "Just let me go," he roared. But Menon only tightened his grip. At the same time, Miho sprang into action and swept Sunwoo's legs out from under him, sending him crashing hard onto the ground. Menon immediately tightened the chokehold even further, while Miho grabbed Sunwoo's legs and pinned them down. Despite Sunwoo's ferocious resistance, the two of them managed to immobilize him. From the sidelines, Han simply watched the scene unfold. Sunwoo was now struggling against his own teammates instead of his enemy. Leaning closer to his ear, Menon whispered, "You need to sleep for a while. In this state, you're no good to anyone." Slowly, the strength began to drain from Sunwoo's body. His breathing grew heavier. His vision started to blur. And little by little, his consciousness slipped away. The last thing he saw was Han. Han was still standing there, his foot planted firmly on the old man's face, lost in manic laughter. As Sunwoo drifted toward unconsciousness, a memory surfaced. A memory from one of his training sessions with the old man. The training had ended, and the old man was exhausted. Even so, he spoke in a gentle voice. "If something ever happens to me, would you look after my son?" Sunwoo draped a towel around his neck and looked up. "Of course. But why are you asking that all of a sudden?" The old man paused for a moment. Taking a deep breath, he looked at Sunwoo and said, "I just want someone who can stop him if he ever starts walking down the wrong path." But, as always, Sunwoo cut him off before he could continue. "Isn't that obvious?" The old man raised an eyebrow. "What's obvious?" Shrugging his shoulders, Sunwoo wiped his face with the towel. "You still have a lot left to teach me." He glanced at him with a faint smile. "And if I want to keep learning from you, then I'll have to become friends with your son, right? Don't tell me you've already run out of lessons." The old man was caught completely off guard. A small, unexpected laugh escaped his lips. "Is that so?" he said softly. Then, with a playful grin, he ruffled Sunwoo's hair. "So even after I'm gone, you're planning to keep using me?" The memory shattered. Reality came crashing back. The old man was still lying on the ground, broken, bruised, almost lifeless. Han's foot was still pressing against his face. On the opposite side of the arena, Sunwoo lay unconscious. Menon and Miho still had him pinned down, both breathing heavily from the struggle. "That was close," Miho muttered between breaths. Han slowly surveyed the aftermath before letting out a low, malicious chuckle. "What a waste." But then a new voice cut through the arena. Amanda had arrived. Her eyes were fixed on Han. "You've already taken all of Sunwoo's attention," she said coldly. "So are you going to leave now, or do you still need more of his attention and affection?" Han's expression immediately hardened. He turned toward her with icy eyes. "Do you want me to kill you with my own hands?" Amanda didn't flinch. Not even for a second. She pointed toward the hovering drone above them. "Sure. Why not?" A faint smirk appeared on her face. "But if you try anything, your precious drone guide will blow you apart before you can even touch me." Then her expression darkened. A clear bloodlust flashed across her eyes. "Or you can die by my hands instead." Han laughed at the threat. Slowly, deliberately, he lifted his foot off the old man's face. As he turned to leave, he shot Amanda one last venomous glare. "It doesn't matter." His voice was calm, but filled with killing intent. "I'm going to kill every single one of you." With that, he walked out of the arena. The sound of his footsteps echoed through the stadium until he disappeared. Amanda immediately rushed to the old man's side. Dropping to her knees, she quickly began checking his injuries. Several tense moments passed. Then she finally let out a breath of relief. "He's alive." The words instantly lifted the weight hanging over everyone's hearts. The old man had survived. Amanda urgently waved toward the medical team. "Get over here, now. He needs immediate treatment." As the medics rushed over, Amanda's eyes suddenly fell on the old man's injured left hand. Amanda suddenly fell silent in thought. That hand saved my life. Her mind drifted back to the fight. At the most critical moment, the old man had used his left hand to block Han's deadly finger dagger technique. It had been a precise, delicate, and literally life-saving move. If he hadn't made that split-second decision, the outcome could have been far worse. The medical team carefully placed the old man onto a stretcher and quickly carried him away. Amanda remained standing there for a few moments, watching them leave. The scene then shifted to a VIP room, where manager Yenwoo sat watching the match replay. His teeth were clenched with excitement. "Han Min-soo," he muttered in a low but energized voice. "That kid is a monster in every sense of the word." He turned toward Kim and impatiently gestured with his hand. "How does he use his fingers like weapons?" Adjusting his glasses, Kim began explaining. "Because Han Min-soo's enhancement is extremely unique. Most strength-enhancing doping methods simply increase muscle mass. The muscles become larger, but that's about it. But in Han Min-soo's case, the tissues surrounding his bones, his tendons, ligaments, and connective tissues, have developed abnormally." Kim paused for a moment. "You could say that, in some ways, he may even be more functional than Sun Woo, whose bones themselves have been enhanced." Manager Yenwoo's eyes narrowed. "Then shouldn't we recruit him to our side immediately?" Kim shook his head. "Han Min-soo is a fighter personally managed by the director. Getting direct access to him isn't easy." The answer visibly frustrated Yenwoo. But Kim quickly continued. "Don't worry, there are still plenty of incredible fighters left. Especially the one fighting in the next match." Yenwoo leaned back in his chair, intrigued. "The next match? The female fighter, right? The one who uses capoeira?" Kim nodded. "Yes. She's next." Yenwoo scoffed. "Capoeira? Isn't that just some kind of dance? Seems pretty useless in a real fight." Kim's gaze drifted toward the window. For a moment, he looked lost in thought. "Capoeira is a dance," he said. "But that's only part of the story. When Portugal colonized Brazil, African slaves were brought there as laborers. To survive brutal working conditions and oppression, many of them tried to develop their own methods of combat, but they couldn't train openly. So they disguised their martial art as a dance, allowing them to practice without drawing suspicion from their overseers. It may look like a dance, but in reality, it is a martial art born from suffering and pain, not joy." He adjusted his glasses again. After Brazil gained independence, capoeira became associated with various criminal activities. Because of that, the government eventually banned it. Kim's expression hardened. "So no, capoeira isn't just practical. It's frighteningly effective." The scene shifted back to the arena. Amanda stood in the center of the battleground. The number 19 glowed beside her name, marking her current rank. Her chosen fighting style, capoeira, made her stand out from the rest. A drone hovered nearby, silently monitoring her movements. Then the arena's announcement system came to life. "All players, please enter the arena and prepare for the next round." Amanda's eyes settled on her opponent. Without even turning her head fully, she carefully analyzed him. Hyuk-soo, ranked 10th. He entered the arena with complete confidence. His specialty was mixed martial arts, a lethal and highly versatile combat style. Amanda's gaze never wavered. The drone's announcement echoed across the arena. "The match between Amanda and Hyuk-soo will now begin." Amanda immediately assumed her fighting stance. Determination radiated from every movement. Meanwhile, her opponent remained completely still. His face was blank, expressionless, motionless. Amanda narrowed her eyes. "So he's underestimating me too." Without a moment of hesitation, she launched a flawless crane kick. Her body twisted through the air like an acrobat performing a dance, every movement flowing seamlessly into the next. Cutting through the tension, she declared, "If you're just going to stand there, then I'll make the first move." But the moment her kick closed in on Hyuksu, his demeanor changed. A sinister grin spread across his face. A dark, devilish chuckle escaped his lips. Back in the VIP room, manager Yenwu watched the fight unfold with wide eyes. So this is how capoeira is used? He immediately turned toward his device and began scanning Hyuksu's stats. If he's ranked 10th, then he must be incredible. Kim pushed up his glasses and replied in a calm but precise tone. Hyuksu is a mixed martial artist. He wasn't particularly successful at first, but after receiving sensory enhancement doping, his kinetic vision improved dramatically. Yenwu tilted his head. Kinetic vision? Kim nodded. Yes. He can perceive movement at extraordinary speeds. That's why his market value skyrocketed. The VIPs even gave him a nickname. Yenwu looked intrigued. What nickname? Kim adjusted his glasses again. The 10-second king. Yenwu raised an eyebrow. That's a strange name. Why? Because every single one of his matches ends in a knockout within 10 seconds. Not one fight has lasted longer than that. Yenwu let out an impressed laugh. Amazing. If he's really that good, then maybe we should consider recruiting him too. Kim's expression turned serious. If he maintains his reputation in this round as well, his rank could jump to 5th place or even higher. The scene shifted back to the arena. The countdown timer continued ticking. Hyuksu stood motionless, watching Amanda's kick approach. A wicked grin spread across his face. Even top-ranked fighters fall for this defensive stance. They all attack with confidence. But my dynamic vision can see everything. At the very last moment, Hyuksu effortlessly avoided most of Amanda's kick. A smug smile appeared on his face. He reached out and grabbed her leg with an iron-tight grip. Chuckling to himself, he said, "Your game's over." But before he could enjoy his victory any further, his vision suddenly blurred. The world flipped upside down. Hyuksu's eyes widened in confusion. Huh? Why is the floor up here? Before he could process what had happened, his face slammed into the ground with brutal force. The sheer power and momentum behind Amanda's kick had turned the entire fight around in an instant. A muffled voice escaped from him. Did I just lose, in under 10 seconds? Amanda released him and calmly stepped back. Then she stood tall in the center of the arena. The entire stadium fell silent. Everyone was in shock. She had done the impossible. The so-called 10-second king had been defeated at his own game. And in even less time than 10 seconds. A drone floated closer and scanned Hyuksu's motionless body. Then its mechanical voice echoed through the arena. Match concluded. Winner, Amanda. Amanda looked down at her defeated opponent and spoke in a calm but cutting voice. There are some techniques that even enhanced senses can't detect.
Amanda had defeated Hyuksu and secured victory for the round. Meanwhile, in the VIP room, manager Yenwu nearly jumped out of his chair. What was that? How did she pull that off? Kim's eyes remained locked on the arena. Hyuksu made a mistake. He assumed that avoiding her first attack would immediately put the fight in his favor. The problem was that he failed to understand the difference between the technique itself and the true source of its power. Yenwu shook his head in disbelief. But dodging an attack is the natural response, isn't it? Kim nodded. Normally, yes. When a kick is powerful enough to knock someone out, energy is first compressed on the side opposite the point of impact. That stored energy is then released toward the final impact point. If the initial strike misses, there usually isn't enough time to compress that energy again. Which means launching a second powerful attack before your opponent counters becomes extremely difficult. As a result, the kick loses most of its power. He continued, and when both feet are off the ground, the situation becomes even worse. Without a supporting leg, there's nothing to help generate or transfer power efficiently. Yenwu frowned, but Amanda was in exactly that situation. Both of her feet were completely off the ground, and her first attack failed. Kim nodded. That's correct. Which is exactly why Hyuksu attacked so confidently. But he overlooked one very important detail. In capoeira, the hands can be used as support points in the same way legs are. Kim adjusted his glasses. And Amanda's enhancement is unique. Her power enhancement doesn't increase muscle size. Instead, it dramatically increases muscle density. That means she's stronger and faster without suffering the mobility limitations that come with bulky muscles. His gaze remained fixed on the arena screen. At this point, Amanda Graki has become a combat machine capable of releasing maximum power from almost any position and at almost any timing. And that makes her incredibly unpredictable. The scene shifted to Sunwoo. He was lying on a bed, slowly regaining consciousness. As his vision cleared, He saw Miho's face staring back at him. Sunwoo suddenly sat upright. "What happened?" he asked, breathing heavily. He looked around the room before locking eyes with Miho. "Why am I here?" Then his expression changed instantly. Concern filled his face. "The old man. Is he okay?" At that moment, Amanda walked into the room. "He's alive," she said. "When we carried him out of the arena, we could still feel him breathing." Sunwoo let out a deep breath. Relief spread across his face. But Amanda quickly shifted her attention toward Miho. "Miho, your match is coming up. You should start warming up." Miho's expression immediately turned cold. A calm but unwavering determination settled in his eyes. "I know," he replied. "I'll be ready." Then his gaze hardened. "This next opponent might be the very reason I came here in the first place." A memory surfaced in Miho's mind. He remembered the day a man handed him a fighting ward card. "I'll make sure the man who killed your brother stands right in front of you." Back then, Miho had reacted with anger. "But you said you don't even know his name. So how are you supposed to identify him?" The man gave him a sinister smile. "What we do know is that he entered the fighting ward. And he's a former professional boxer." Miho had been stunned. The man chuckled before continuing. "I'll give you more details later. But one thing is certain. There are only a handful of former professional boxers in the fighting ward." The scene shifted back to the arena. Standing at the center was a bald man. His expression was calm, but there was something deadly about him. His name was Choi Wonwo, ranked 16th. His fighting style was pure, ruthless boxing. Miho stepped into the arena. His sharp eyes scanned the surroundings before settling directly on his opponent. His rank was only 28th, but he wasn't here for rankings. He was here for answers. His boxing had been sharpened into a deadly weapon. Taking a firm stance, Miho spoke. His voice sliced through the tension hanging in the air. "Do you know the name Kim Min-seng?" Across from him, Wonwoo tilted his head slightly. A smug smile appeared on his face. "How could I forget him?" he replied arrogantly. The moment those words left his mouth, Miho's expression changed completely. His eyes widened. Veins bulged across his forehead. His jaw clenched so hard it looked ready to crack. His heartbeat thundered in his ears like the drums of war. "I risked everything, just to find you." His pulse accelerated. Then a faint blue aura began glowing near his chest. Before Wonwoo could even react, Miho vanished. For a split second, Wonwoo's eyes darted around in confusion. His brain couldn't even process what had happened. Then Miho appeared directly in front of him. His fist shot forward like a bullet. The uppercut snapped Wonwoo's head backward and sent him stumbling across the arena. Miho didn't stop. He didn't even give Wonwoo a chance to recover. Seeing Miho's overwhelming speed, Wonwoo was left stunned. Then Miho's fist slammed directly into his stomach. Blood burst from Wonwoo's mouth. The sheer force of the punch completely folded him over. But Miho wasn't finished. There was only one thing burning in his eyes: the relentless intensity of a predator hunting its prey. Wonwoo was still airborne when Miho drove another punch straight into his face. The impact sent Wonwoo spinning through the air. His body flipped twice before crashing violently into the arena wall. Cracks spread across the concrete on impact. Fury boiling inside him, Miho marched forward with heavy steps. "Why did you kill my brother?" His thunderous voice echoed throughout the entire arena. Leaning against the wall, Wonwoo struggled to catch his breath. Yet surprisingly, he remained calm. Slowly, he raised his head. "That's enough." His voice was steady. Miho stopped. "What's going on?" he thought. His fists remained tightly clenched. Then, to Miho's surprise, Wonwoo smirked. A blue aura began glowing near his chest. The same kind of aura Miho possessed. "I let you beat on me." Wonwoo laughed. "I needed the effects of the enhancement to raise my level first." In a single motion, Wonwoo pushed himself off the wall and stood up. His movements were unervingly fast and fluid. Miho instinctively shifted into a defensive stance. Confusion raced through his mind. How did he recover that quickly? Wonwoo's grin widened into something almost insane. "Now this is getting interesting." He cracked his neck. "We're both using the same speed-enhancing enhancement. Let's find out which one of us is better." Miho pulled back his fist. But the moment he threw the punch, Wonwoo vanished, just like Miho had done earlier. In the blink of an eye, Wonwoo appeared beside him. His counterattack was already in motion. The punch landed squarely on Miho's face. But at that exact moment, Miho activated his own speed. His body disappeared from sight and escaped Wonwoo's range. Sliding to a stop, Miho wiped the blood from his mouth. His eyes remained fixed on his opponent. The rage was still there, but now caution had joined it. This fight isn't over. It's only beginning. Now it was Wonwoo's turn to attack, and he had no intention of giving Miho any room to breathe. His speed increased even further. His movements began matching Miho's perfectly. In an instant, he was right in front of him. Grinning like a hunter closing in on trapped prey, Wanwu spoke. "Where do you think you're going?" For the first time, doubt crept into Miho's heart. His eyes widened. "No matter how fast I move, I can't find a single opening." His mind raced desperately, searching for a solution. But then his worst fear became reality. Wanwu accelerated again. Miho was completely overwhelmed. Wanwu laughed mockingly. "As expected, there's a difference in levels between us." Before Miho could react, Wanwu's devastating punch crashed directly into his face. The impact was so powerful that Miho's thoughts scattered instantly. Blood sprayed from Miho's mouth. Wanwu didn't waste the opportunity. "Here's a real full-speed punch." His fist crashed into Miho's face once again. The blow carried so much raw power that it felt as if the entire arena shook. Miho's body slammed into the ground and skidded across the floor before finally coming to a stop. Blood dripped from his lips. As he lay sprawled on the arena floor, his vision blurred and swayed. Inside, he was furious with himself. Meanwhile, Wanwu stood tall above him. Triumph burned in his eyes. A cruel, almost insane laugh echoed throughout the arena. "What did I tell you?" he mocked. "Relying on speed enhancement always comes with risks. And it's obvious my speed is leagues ahead of yours." Wanwu's laughter grew louder. Arrogance practically dripped from every word. Slowly, he approached Miho's battered body. "Why don't you just stay down?" he taunted. "If you keep moving, the drones won't stop the fight." His grin widened. "And if that happens?" He raised his foot high into the air. "I'll have to finish you myself." As Wanwu prepared to stomp down on him, Miho's mind drifted into a memory. He saw his brother, Kim Min-sang, and he remembered the words that had shaped his fighting spirit. "Whenever you feel like it's all over, Miho, take one last deep breath. Calm yourself. That single breath will give you the strength to stand back up." Back in the present, Miho quietly repeated those words. One last breath. Then he inhaled deeply. The moment he did, his heart began pounding harder than ever. The enhancement surged through his veins. Its effects intensified. His strength, his speed, everything was pushed to its absolute limit. Wanwu's foot came crashing down, but Miho was no longer there. In an instant, he vanished from the ground. His movement was so fast that even Wanwu couldn't track it. Wanwu spun around in frustration. Where did he go? His eyes darted across the arena. Miho had finally created the opening he desperately needed. Now crouched low to the ground, he settled into an attacking stance. His muscles coiled like compressed springs. His clenched fists trembled with raw determination. Wanwu gritted his teeth and glared at him. At this point, this wasn't just a fight anymore. This was for everything Miho had sacrificed to reach this moment. Without wasting another second, Miho exploded forward. His body launched through the air at terrifying speed. His movements became nothing more than a blur. The force of his leap was so immense that it seemed to shatter the sound barrier itself. Like a human missile, he rocketed straight toward Wanwu. At that speed, dodging was impossible. Wanwu didn't even have time to raise his guard. Miho's fist slammed into his chest with brutal precision. The impact sent Wanwu stumbling backward. But Miho wasn't finished. The moment he closed the distance again, he demanded, "Why did you kill my brother? What did he ever do to you?" For the first time, Wanwu's expression changed. Then he said, "So the rumors were true. Kim Min-sang really is dead." The words hit harder than any punch. Miho froze. Complete shock washed over him. Suddenly, the drone's mechanical voice echoed throughout the arena. Everyone's attention shifted upward. Wanwu is no longer able to continue the fight. The winner is Miho. Miho remained standing where he was. His chest rose and fell with heavy breaths. His fists were still clenched tightly. Inside him was a strange mixture of emotions. Disbelief and emptiness. The victory didn't feel the way he had imagined. At that moment, notifications began flooding the VIP rooms. Miho's game earnings were skyrocketing. Behind the tinted glass, several VIP spectators exchanged glances. "This Kim Miho is incredible," one of them said while reviewing Miho's profile. The scene shifted once again, this time to the director's office. The director had been watching the entire fight with intense focus. Turning toward one of his subordinates, he spoke in a serious tone. That was Miho's second awakening, and he achieved it without any enhancement drugs. The doctor nodded, his expression grave. "Yes, sir. It appears the experiment is finally producing results. It's not as successful as the first subject from 20 years ago, but the success rate has now reached nearly 80%. The director folded his arms and sank into thought. Even after the first awakened disappeared, his genes left behind a legacy. A faint smile appeared on his face. Surpassing that legacy would be a remarkable achievement. He fell silent for a moment before muttering to himself. If only that man hadn't vanished. We could have achieved so much more. His eyes narrowed. Where did he go? The scene shifted again, this time to Sunwoo's training room. Sunwoo was relentlessly practicing the locust technique that the old man had taught him. His kicks repeatedly crashed into the wall. Again and again, each strike carried more force than the last. Drenched in sweat, Sunwoo gritted his teeth despite his exhaustion. Just a little more. I need to push harder. A sharp voice suddenly came from behind him. Hey kid, stop before you bring this entire place down. It was Minnan. Sunwoo paused and finally looked around the room. The walls were covered in cracks. Chunks of concrete had broken away in several places. Minnan stared at him. Are you planning to collapse before your next fight even starts? Sunwoo's eyes were heavy with fatigue, but he still answered. If I want to compete against the monsters in this place, I have to keep pushing myself. At that moment, he remembered something the old man once told him. Push your body to its absolute limits. When you recover, you'll come back far stronger than before. Then the old man had added, but remember one thing. Sleep is the best form of recovery. Divide your day into 2 parts. First, train until your body gives out. Then sleep as if your life depends on it. Do that twice every day, and you'll grow twice as fast. Then the old man pointed a finger at Sunwoo and added, but this only works if you have endurance forged from steel. A grin appeared on his face. So tell me, kid, are you ready for that? The memory faded. Sunwoo looked down at himself. Then he unfastened the massive weights strapped around his ankles. The moment they hit the floor, crack, the ground beneath them fractured. They were absurdly heavy. The entire scene looked like something straight out of an anime training arc, as if Rock Lee had just removed his training weights before a fight. Leaning against the wall, Minnan smirked. Kid, I told you to be ready to die. I didn't mean actually kill yourself. Sunwoo didn't respond. Without saying a word, he stepped into the sleeping pod. The lid slowly closed above him. As darkness swallowed his vision, only one thought remained in his mind. This is the 3rd time now. Just like the old man said, endurance is everything. I have to trust myself. Outside the pod, Minnan stared at the discarded weights. Then he laughed, training 3 times a day until complete exhaustion, and then sleeping to recover. This kid is completely all in, huh? A wicked grin spread across his face. Well, if it works, it works. But watching this play out, now that's going to be entertaining. Just then, a drone floated over to him. Its mechanical voice echoed through the hallway. Player Minnan, please proceed to the main arena. A spark lit up in Minnan's eyes. The sinister look on his face transformed into pure excitement. Finally, are we getting the good stuff now? With that, he followed the drone down the corridor. The sound of his footsteps echoed through the hall. The scene shifted to the arena. Juwoo was already there. Currently ranked 15th, he was casually demonstrating his incredible strength. Using only one hand, he gripped the arena wall and lifted his entire body into a seated position in midair. The control, the balance, the raw power. It was unbelievable. Inside the observation room, Manager Yinwoo and Kim watched closely. Leaning back in his chair, Yinwoo asked, Juwoo, he's one of your 5 picks, isn't he? Kim nodded. Yes, sir. Juwoo gained tremendous strength through enhancement. His grip strength is on another level. If he gets a hold of someone, he can crush their bones. Most fighters lose the will to continue fighting after experiencing his grip just once. Kim adjusted his glasses. But that's not even his greatest weapon. His true strength lies in his judo. And when you combine elite judo with that kind of raw power, he paused. It becomes terrifying. No matter how enhanced a fighter is, if Juwoo throws them to the ground, it's usually over. Bones break. The match ends. Yinwoo narrowed his eyes. And what about Minnan? Looking at his ranking, he doesn't seem like much of a concern, right? Kim hesitated while scanning the information on his device. His expression gradually shifted into confusion. There's almost no information on Minnan. No information? Yinwoo's voice sharpened immediately. Kim frowned. It looks like he was recruited directly from the fighting ward. And beyond that, we know almost nothing about him. His origins, his fighting style, even the extent of his enhancements. Everything about him was a mystery. Kim adjusted his glasses once again. This time, his expression was completely serious. I haven't seen a single one of his matches. That man is an enigma. The scene shifted back to the arena. Minnan entered in his signature unsettling fashion. Licking his elbow while wearing a manic grin, he sent chills through the entire stadium. Across from him stood Juwoo. His crimson eyes burned with intensity. Everything about his stance made one thing clear. He wasn't here to play. He was here to win. A drone floated between them and announced in a mechanical voice, "The match between Menon and Juwoo will now begin." The moment the announcement ended, Juwoo spoke in a serious tone. "Let's finish this in one move. There's no need to waste time." But before he could say anything else, Menon closed the distance with lightning speed. Appearing right in front of him, he grinned. "I agree." The sudden appearance caught Juwoo completely off guard. Before he could react, Menon disappeared again. Then he reappeared behind him. A sinister smile spread across his face. "The back of your head looks delicious." He struck from behind. Juwoo barely managed to avoid the attack. Reacting instantly, he grabbed Menon's arm and unleashed his monstrous judo skills. In one smooth motion, he lifted Menon into the air. Menon only grinned wider. "Damn, you've got some serious moves." Juwoo didn't waste a single second. Using all of his strength, he slammed Menon into the ground. The impact was devastating. The arena floor shattered beneath them. Shockwaves exploded across the battlefield. The entire stadium trembled from the collision. Menon lay inside the crater that had formed in the broken floor, barely breathing, barely moving. Meanwhile, Juwoo remained standing, tall, unshaken. His overwhelming presence dominated the arena. The sheer effectiveness of his counterattack left everyone stunned. Inside the VIP room, Manager Yinwoo leaned forward in disbelief. What just happened? Is Menon stuck in the ground? Or is he dead? For the first time, even Kim looked shaken. His usually calm demeanor had vanished. I knew Juwoo was strong, but ending it this quickly? I didn't expect that. His eyes remained fixed on the arena. Below, a drone descended and began scanning both fighters. Several tense moments passed. Then the mechanical voice finally spoke. Player Juwoo is unable to continue. Player Menon is declared the winner. A collective gasp swept through the entire arena. Just moments earlier, Juwoo had been standing tall and dominant. Now he suddenly collapsed to the ground. Unconscious, the announcement sent shockwaves through the stadium. Nobody could believe what they had just witnessed. But the most disturbing thing wasn't Juwoo's defeat. It was Menon's reaction. He was still lying on the ground. And once again, he was licking his elbow. That signature, unsettling gesture sent a chill through everyone watching. Manager Yinwoo stared at the screen in disbelief. What just happened? Juwoo was completely dominating the fight. How was he the one eliminated? Kim looked equally shocked. Running a hand through his hair, he shook his head. I don't know. This is the first time I've ever seen something like this. I can't make sense of it. Meanwhile, Menon remained sprawled across the shattered arena floor. His laughter echoed like a twisted symphony. A mischievous gleam danced in his eyes. Looks like it's time for Sunwoo to wake up. He folded his hands behind his head. Will he come out perfectly cooked? Or just a burnt-out mess? The thought made him laugh even harder. The scene shifted to Sunwoo's recovery pod. With a soft hiss, the pod door slowly opened. A hand emerged from the darkness. Its fingers curled into a fist. Sunwoo sat up. His breathing was calm, steady, controlled. Something feels different. His brows furrowed. Did the triple training and recovery cycle actually work? One thought occupied his mind. Whether the recovery had succeeded or not, he still had to face his next opponent, no matter what happened. But as his thoughts drifted, his expression darkened. Images of his mother surfaced in his mind. His fists tightened. Mom, I hope you're safe. Then another thought followed. But can I really trust that woman who came to see me before? His eyes hardened. I need answers. And Dr. Kim is the one who brought me here. I need to speak with him. The moment he made up his mind, a drone entered the room. Its mechanical hum broke the silence. The drone announced, "A scout has requested your presence." Sunwoo frowned in surprise. A short time later, he found himself blindfolded. The organization clearly wanted to keep the location secret. After a long walk, he finally reached his destination. Then a voice spoke from ahead. "You may remove the blindfold now." Sunwoo pulled it off. The moment his vision cleared, he saw Kim standing directly in front of him. Recognition hit instantly. So did the anger. Without wasting a second, Sunwoo lunged forward and grabbed Kim by the collar. "You betrayed me," he roared. His voice trembled with rage. Yet Kim showed no sign of fear. Calmly, then he spoke in a firm, steady tone. "Calm down, kid. If I die here, you won't gain anything." Sunwoo's jaw tightened, but he didn't let go. But Kim's words made sense. At least logically. Sunwoo's hand was still gripping Kim's collar, but his mind was in complete turmoil. After a moment, he spoke through clenched teeth. "You'd better answer my questions honestly, because I'm running out of patience." His eyes locked onto Kim's. "Do you know where my parents are?" Kim lowered his voice, almost as if he were teasing him. "You still haven't figured it out?" He shook his head slightly. "I thought it was obvious." Sunwoo's confusion only deepened. What are you talking about? Kim narrowed his eyes. A faint smirk appeared on his face. I'm the one taking care of them. Sunwoo exploded. Stop lying to me. He shouted. I already know someone else is looking after my parents in the recovery sector. For a brief moment, Kim looked thoughtful. So it's true, he murmured. A woman came to visit you, didn't she? Interesting. Then he looked directly into Sunwoo's eyes. Let's make one thing clear. I am the one taking care of your parents. However, I did lie about their disappearance. I only did it to keep you focused. For a second, Sunwoo felt as if the ground beneath him had shifted. What kind of nonsense are you talking about? He growled. Kim calmly removed Sunwoo's hand from his collar and straightened his jacket. Listen carefully. His voice became serious. I've bet everything on you. Enhanced or not, the chief will eventually have to acknowledge my judgment. So don't ruin this. The story about your parents disappearing has spread throughout the entire fighting ward. Think about it. Do you honestly believe my agents were responsible for that rumor? Sunwoo remained silent. The line between truth and lies was becoming impossible to see. Kim spread his hands, as if he were laying out an undeniable truth. Think about it, Sunwoo. The moment rumors started spreading that your parents were being kept in the recovery sector, Cha-seon suddenly appeared. He stared straight at him. Do you really think that's a coincidence? And didn't she also claim that she was taking care of your parents? Am I wrong? Kim's gaze lowered. His expression hardened. That woman doesn't have a truthful bone in her body. If she did, the chairman would never have forced his own two sons out of the family business. Fire burned in Sunwoo's eyes. Do you think I'm an idiot? He snapped. Are you trying to fool me too? That woman knew things about my parents. Kim didn't even blink. And what proof did she show you? What evidence did she provide? Sunwoo hesitated. For the first time, uncertainty appeared on his face. She didn't show me anything. Then he glared at Kim. But what about you? What proof do you have? Without saying a word, Kim slowly rolled up the sleeve of his jacket. Then he extended his forearm towards Sunwoo. Sunwoo's eyes widened. His entire body froze. Written across Kim's forearm were the words, Son, don't worry. Mom is fine. And beneath the message, a date, the 20th. Sunwoo's breath caught in his throat. That's Mom's handwriting. His mind went blank. This wasn't something that could be faked. This was real. Kim's voice cut through the storm of thoughts racing through Sunwoo's head. You saw the date, didn't you? You know who was with your mother that day. He shrugged. Believe me or don't. That's your choice. Then his expression hardened. But right now, you need to hear the plan. Kim pointed directly at him. His eyes were sharp. His voice carried absolute conviction. If you want to bring the VIP's attention back to you, then you have to win your next fight. Your opponent is their favorite. If you beat him, both Cha and the VIPs will be forced to support you. He stepped closer. If you win this round, every problem you're dealing with, including your parents, can finally be resolved. Sunwoo gritted his teeth. Frustration, doubt, confusion. Everything was colliding inside his head. Who is my next opponent? Kim answered immediately. Ryo Ichika. Rank 15. He's practically the unanimous favorite among the VIPs. Adjusting his glasses, Kim continued. You'll need to prepare yourself. This won't be easy. As Sunwoo made his way toward the arena, Kim's words echoed through his mind. If you defeat him, Chairman Chow won't have any choice but to select you. We only need to reach the finals. After that, every problem, including your parents, can be solved. Sunwoo's fists tightened. Damn it. My head is spinning. I don't know who's lying. I don't know who's telling the truth. But one thing is clear. If I can't take down my next opponent, it's over. The arena came into view. Standing at its center was Ryo Ichika. Calm, composed. Yet beneath that calm exterior lurked something dangerous. A ticking time bomb. His fighting style, Kudo, was famous for combining efficiency with devastating power. Meanwhile, inside one of the VIP rooms, Manager Yenwoo sat comfortably in his chair. A confident smile rested on his face, as if he already knew how this match would end. If Sunwoo loses this round, Charles Younghan's reaction will be priceless. He quietly chuckled to himself. In another VIP room, Cha-seon watched the arena closely. A faint smile appeared on her lips. Let's see who gets the last laugh. I've been waiting for this moment for a long time. Back in the arena, Ryo calmly assumed his fighting stance. Confidence radiated from him. Sunwoo mirrored the movement. His focus was razor sharp. If he's taking an offensive stance, I'll start with a calf kick. My body feels solid today. Determination burned in his eyes. Without wasting a second, Sunwoo exploded forward. Like a bolt of lightning, he closed the distance and launched a sharp low calf kick designed to destroy Ryo's balance. But Ryo was ready. Effortlessly, he lifted his leg and avoided the kick with perfect precision. Before Sunwoo could recover, Ryo immediately countered. Using the same leg, he unleashed a powerful kick aimed directly at him. Sunwoo's instincts kicked in. If I dodge this, I'll have a chance to counterattack. But before the thought could fully form, Ryo moved. Fast. Far faster than expected. In a single motion, he grabbed Sunwoo. One hand locked onto his shoulder. The other secured his leg. Then, boom, Ryo slammed him into the ground. The impact was so violent that cracks exploded across the arena floor. Blood spilled from Sunwoo's mouth. It was undeniable proof of Ryo's monstrous strength. Fighting through the pain, Sunwoo forced himself to think. This guy? He's insanely strong. But Ryo wasn't finished. With cold precision, he raised his fist, preparing to deliver a finishing blow. Gathering every last ounce of strength he had, Sunwoo twisted his body. Using both his hands and legs, he desperately pushed himself out of Ryo's striking range, just barely escaping the attack. At the very last second, Sunwoo managed to escape. A razor-thin escape. Inside the VIP room, Manager Yinwoo leaned forward with growing interest. Wait, I thought he was a striker. Then what was that grappling technique? He asked. Standing nearby, Kim adjusted his glasses and replied calmly. Ryo isn't limited to striking. He's mastered Kyokushin karate. And Kyokushin isn't just about punches and kicks. It also includes throws, takedowns, and joint lock techniques. Kim paused briefly. And that's not all. Practitioners are also trained to use headbutts and groin attacks when necessary. Back in the arena, Ryo had already returned to his stance. But something felt off. A small sense of unease was creeping into his mind. Why isn't this kid afraid? Ryo wondered. He didn't have time to think about it. Sunwoo charged again, this time with a lightning-fast punch. The strike flew toward Ryo's face, only inches away from connecting. But Ryo's reflexes were elite. He lowered his head at the last possible moment, barely avoiding the hit. Seeing an opening, Ryo immediately countered. He pulled his fist back and drove a brutal body shot straight into Sunwoo's stomach. The impact was savage. Even the audience flinched. Blood sprayed from Sunwoo's mouth. His body was launched backward before crashing onto the arena floor. Inside the VIP room, Manager Yinwoo was openly enjoying the fight. As expected, that high school kid is finished. He mocked. Ryo looked toward Sunwoo. Something felt wrong. Very wrong. After taking such a devastating hit, Sunwoo was smiling. That eerie smile sent a chill down Ryo's spine. Why is he smiling? Slowly, Sunwoo got back to his feet. A wild obsession burned inside his eyes. Ryo frowned. Let's see how long that smile lasts. With a shout, he launched another powerful attack. But suddenly, Sunwoo closed the distance. Instead of attacking, he wrapped both arms around Ryo's waist and locked himself onto him. Ryo laughed. You think hugging me is going to save you, kid? A feral spark flashed inside Sunwoo's eyes. Then, he bit Ryo's leg. Hard, like a wild animal tearing into its prey. Ryo's scream echoed through the arena. Are you insane? For the first time, his composure cracked. Reacting immediately, Ryo slammed a brutal kick into Sunwoo's stomach. The force sent him stumbling backward. Ryo then raised his elbow, preparing a finishing strike. But before he could move, Sunwoo's voice echoed across the arena. What did you call me? His eyes gleamed with madness. An animal? A twisted grin spread across his face. You're right. I am a crazy animal. For a split second, Ryo hesitated. The sheer intensity in Sunwoo's gaze shook him. Instantly, Ryo swung his leg. A devastating kick smashed into Sunwoo's head. Sunwoo crashed onto the ground. But even then, that creepy grin never disappeared. Ryo glanced at his bleeding leg. The wound Sunwoo had left behind was still dripping blood. This guy is a beast. The thought disgusted him. Yet at the same time, he couldn't help but respect it. Slowly, Sunwoo stood up again. Still smiling. Still staring. Still refusing to break. Inside the VIP room, Manager Yinwoo rose from his seat. Disbelief and frustration covered his face. What is going on out there? Kim shook his head. His tone was serious. I forgot to mention something. Sunwoo doesn't follow rules. Back in the arena, Sunwoo charged once again. Determination burned in his eyes. Ryo clenched his fists. He's going to try the same trick again. Not this time. At the last possible moment, Sunwoo suddenly dropped his body even lower. His movement made it look like he was diving toward Ryo's legs. Ryo's instincts immediately went on high alert. Oh no, is he trying to bite me again? Preparing for exactly that, Ryo raised both hands, ready to smash down on Sunwoo the moment he came close. A smug grin appeared on his face. You really thought the same trick would work twice? But Sunwoo was already one step ahead. Instead of going for another bite, he copied Amanda's capoeira technique. His body twisted in a fluid, explosive motion. Then, wham! A devastating kick crashed directly into the side of Ryo's head. The entire arena froze. Inside the VIP room, Manager Yinwu's eyes widened in complete shock. He couldn't believe what he had just seen. Taking advantage of that brief moment of distraction, Sunwoo shifted his body weight with incredible speed. In one explosive motion, he swung his leg upward. At that exact moment, Ryo's entire focus was locked onto Sunwoo's body movement. He never saw the kick coming. The strike connected directly with his face. Boom. The impact echoed throughout the entire arena. Inside the VIP room, Manager Yinwu's eyes widened in shock. How is that even possible? That's a capoeira technique. Where did Sunwoo learn that? Suddenly, the scene shifted into a flashback. Inside a quiet training area, Sunwoo and Amanda stood facing each other. Sunwoo looked unusually excited. Curiosity sparkled in his eyes. "Amanda," he asked, "what's the strongest technique in capoeira?" Then he pointed at himself with a playful grin. "Come on, show me once. Hit me with it." Amanda's expression immediately turned serious. The warmth vanished from her eyes. A cold warning entered her voice. "Do you think you can endure anything? Or are you underestimating capoeira?" Sunwoo quickly shook his head. "No, that's not what I dash." But before he could finish speaking, Amanda moved. Her kick was so fast that it became a blur. The strike landed squarely against Sunwoo's head. The force was overwhelming. Sunwoo crashed onto the ground instantly. Completely stunned, Amanda stood beside him, arms folded, eyes sharp. Then she calmly said, "Now you've experienced it yourself, so you can copy it, right?" A brief silence followed. Then her tone softened slightly. "But don't push beyond your limits. Just do your best." Sunwoo's head was still ringing from the impact. Yet despite the pain, he smiled. "Thanks, Amanda." The memory slowly faded. The present returned. And once again, Sunwoo's capoeira-inspired kick smashed into Ryo's face. The impact was devastating. Ryo staggered backward. For the first time, the confidence in his eyes cracked. But Ryo Ichika wasn't the type to surrender. Grinding his teeth, he forced himself back into the fight. Then suddenly, his hand shot forward. Like a steel trap, he grabbed Sunwoo's leg. Sunwoo was still upside down in a handstand position. Every muscle in his body tensed instantly. Alert, ready. The entire arena seemed to hold its breath. Because the moment Ryo secured that grip, everyone knew the next exchange could decide the entire match. Sunwoo was ready. Ready for whatever Ryo's next move would be. Still holding onto Sunwoo's leg, Ryo raised his other leg high into the air. A devastating kick aimed directly at Sunwoo's face. Inside the VIP room, Manager Yinwoo was so excited that he nearly rose from his seat. A disturbing smile spread across his face. This was exactly what he had been waiting to see. But Sunwoo had no intention of letting it happen. Using nothing but the strength of his arms, he suddenly launched his upper body into the air. The movement was so fluid and explosive that it left everyone stunned. It looked as if he was defying the laws of physics. Ryo was still gripping Sunwoo's leg, yet even he couldn't believe what he was seeing. For a brief moment, he froze, and that was all Sunwoo needed. Twisting his body in midair, Sunwoo unleashed another powerful kick with his free leg. Crack! The kick connected directly with Ryo's face. The impact echoed across the arena. Ryo was launched backward through the air. But before he could crash into the ground, he planted one hand down and used it to stabilize himself. His body spun, then landed, balanced, controlled. On the opposite side, Sunwoo landed softly on his feet. His breathing remained perfectly steady. For the first time, he noticed something important. A crack, not in Ryo's body, in his confidence. One more calf kick, and this fight is over. At least, that's what Sunwoo thought. But Ryo Ichika still hadn't given up. Slowly, he stood back up. This time, assuming a completely different stance. His eyes never left Sunwoo. When he finally spoke, his voice carried a strange mixture of emotions. Respect and hatred. "Your movements, they aren't normal." A small smile appeared on his face. "You surprised me." Then his expression darkened. "But from now on, I'm going to treat you like an animal." Something inside Ryo snapped. The calm, composed fighter from earlier was gone. The man standing there now felt completely different. Dangerous. Unpredictable. His speed exploded. In the blink of an eye, he crossed the distance between them. Sunwoo barely had time to react. Ryo was already inside striking range. A punch shot toward Sunwoo's face. Instinctively, Sunwoo dodged. But the moment he moved, he realized something was wrong. He's faster. Much faster than before. A thought flashed through his mind. Is this the effect of his enhancement? Ryo didn't stop. His fist tightened. Another attack was already coming. Sunwoo analyzed the situation instantly. He's going to throw another punch. I'll dodge and counter. But that assumption was exactly what Ryo wanted. He lunged forward and unleashed a brutal headbutt, a move nobody expected. Not the audience, not the VIPs, not even Sunwoo. The impact landed before he could react. And for the first time in the match, Sunwoo was caught completely off guard. Sunwoo's thoughts were completely scrambled. The brutal headbutt had shaken his senses. His body desperately tried to recover, but Ryo didn't give him even a single second. Without hesitation, he drove another devastating punch straight into Sunwoo's stomach. With full force, the entire audience held their breath. The impact was so brutal that darkness flooded Sunwoo's vision. Every nerve in his body screamed in agony, yet his mind refused to surrender. I have to stay conscious. If I lose focus now, it's over. But Ryo never gave him the chance. His fists tightened. His eyes turned cold, merciless. A low growl escaped his lips. From now on, even your organs won't be able to save you. Then came the storm. Punch after punch crashed into Sunwoo's upper body. Each strike felt like a sledgehammer. His ribs cried out with every impact. Bruises spread across his torso. Blood spilled from his mouth. A painful scream escaped his lips. Inside the VIP room, Manager Yinwoo was practically celebrating. A strange excitement gleamed in his eyes. A frightening smile stretched across his face. To him, victory was already secured. The tournament was theirs, and Cha Suyin had finally lost. But in another VIP room, Cha Suyin remained perfectly calm. A faint smile rested on her lips. She wasn't worried, not even a little. She still believed in Sunwoo. And then, as if reality itself responded to that belief, something changed. A twisted grin slowly spread across Sunwoo's face. The smile was so disturbing that murmurs erupted throughout the crowd. A chill ran through the arena. Everyone realized the same thing. Sunwoo was never unconscious. He had been pretending the entire time. Suddenly, his hand shot upward, grabbing Ryo's leg, the same leg that was still pressing against his chest. Annoyance flashed across Ryo's face. He immediately understood what had happened. So he was faking it. But Ryo still wasn't concerned. He believed the outcome wouldn't change. The result was already decided. At least, that's what he thought. Before he could react, crack, Sunwoo launched a savage headbutt. The attack was so sudden and so violent that Ryo stumbled backward instantly. His eyes widened. What the hell? For the first time, genuine shock appeared on his face. Does this guy train headbutts too? But Sunwoo wasn't slowing down. Not anymore. Slowly, he began circling Ryo, like a predator stalking its prey. Every movement felt wild, unpredictable, driven entirely by instinct. At that moment, it no longer looked like a human fighting. It looked like a beast hunting. Ryo watched carefully, his teeth clenched. Yet the more he observed, the more unsettled he became. Because Sunwoo didn't resemble an animal anymore. He resembled something far worse. A monster. A monster that refused to fall. A monster that kept getting back up no matter how much punishment it took. And one question kept echoing inside Ryo's mind. How is he still standing? Sunwoo's organs should have already been completely destroyed by now. Ryo's constant dizziness was getting worse. It was probably a side effect of his doping. He could only think about stopping one attack somehow. Then he would finish everything with a single counterpunch. But at that moment, Sunwoo spotted a tiny opening. With lightning-like speed, he closed the distance and moved in for another calf kick. Ryo was ready. He quickly bent down and grabbed Sunwoo's leg. He thought he had finally stopped him. Now Ryo was prepared for the counterattack. But Sunwoo had another trick. With a powerful jerk, he pulled his leg back. In the process, his trousers ripped apart, and pieces of cloth flew through the air. For a split second, Ryo's attention was distracted. Sunwoo immediately took advantage of that moment. He spun with lightning speed and unleashed the same calf kick again, this time with even greater force. Ryo saw the kick coming, but he no longer had enough time to dodge. He decided to tank the hit. However, the power behind the kick was so overwhelming that the bone in Ryo's leg snapped. The crack echoed throughout the entire arena. Ryo's right leg was completely broken. He could no longer stand properly. In the VIP room, Manager Yinwoo pulled at his hair in frustration. He couldn't believe that Sunwoo had actually broken Ryo's leg. But Ryo was not someone who would give up. Standing on his remaining leg, he grabbed Sunwoo with both hands. His face was twisted in pain, but his determination only grew stronger. Ryo gathered every last ounce of strength he had left and delivered a devastating punch straight into Sunwoo's stomach. The impact sounded like thunder and was felt throughout the stadium. Sunwoo staggered. His body trembled violently. Yet he gritted his teeth and endured it. Blood flowed from his mouth, but the fire in his eyes had not faded. He was still ready to fight. Without wasting a second, Sunwoo moved forward. Circling behind Ryo, he delivered another brutal calf kick. This time, it targeted Ryo's last remaining good leg. The impact was horrifying. Ryo screamed in agony. His second leg had also been shattered. Now he was completely unable to stand. His body collapsed to the ground like a lifeless corpse. With a dull thud, he crashed onto the arena floor. Sunwoo stood over him, looking ready to claim victory. But then his own body finally began to give out. Blood poured from his mouth. The severely damaged organs inside him had finally reached their limit and started to fail. Sunwoo collapsed onto the ground as well. A complete silence fell over the arena. Both fighters lay motionless on the floor. Their bodies were broken, covered in blood. A heavy hush spread through the crowd. No one could understand who the true winner of this brutal, blood-soaked battle was. At that moment, a drone hovered above the arena. It scanned the fallen warriors below, carefully analyzing the condition of each fighter. After checking both of their statuses, the announcement finally came. Fighter Ryo can no longer continue fighting. Sunwoo is declared the winner. Sunwoo released a long, exhausted breath. Relief was clearly visible on his face. Yet the victory felt incomplete. His body was no longer responding to him. His arms and legs felt as heavy as lead. Everything in front of his eyes began to spin from sheer exhaustion. While Sunwoo collapsed inside the arena, the atmosphere in the VIP rooms became incredibly tense. Manager Yanhwa's face tightened with anger. Disbelief was written all over his eyes. He simply couldn't accept that Sunwoo had won. His voice was sharp and filled with frustration. On the other hand, Cha Sung-yeon radiated an entirely different energy. She remained calm and composed, a confident smirk resting on her lips. She had believed from the beginning that Sunwoo would win again. To her, this outcome was expected. She quietly observed the scene with complete satisfaction. The drone's announcement continued to echo through the arena. Meanwhile, Sunwoo's body finally gave up. The exhaustion overwhelmed him completely. He collapsed onto the cold floor and lost consciousness. Manager Yanhwa was still struggling to process what had happened. When he saw Sunwoo collapse as well, he assumed his condition was no different from Ryo's. Both fighters appeared unable to continue. However, Kim calmly corrected him. Sunwoo didn't fall because he lost. His body simply shut down due to extreme exhaustion, not because of an opponent's attack. Even Cha Sung-yeon's bodyguard looked surprised. His gaze remained fixed on Sunwoo's unconscious body. Suddenly, Cha Sung-yeon's attention shifted to the device in her hand. The satisfaction on her face slowly transformed into concern. Something wasn't right. The prize money wasn't increasing. Normally, whenever a fighter won, spectators and VIPs rushed to invest money in them. But that wasn't happening. The bodyguard immediately realized the problem. He explained, "Nobody places bets on a fighter who collapses immediately after winning." To the spectators and VIPs, Sunwoo's victory looked unstable. He had won the fight, but he had also pushed himself beyond his limits. And in a tournament where strength meant everything, a winner who could barely remain conscious was not someone people were eager to invest in. And now that the round of 31 had officially ended, selection for the round of 16 would be based entirely on prize money rankings. The bodyguard scrolled through Sunwoo's statistics. His fingers moved rapidly across the device. There was a heavy seriousness in his voice now. Sunwoo is at the very bottom of the list. He continued checking the rankings before speaking again. If the next round is announced right now, Sunwoo will be eliminated. He glanced toward Sunwoo's unconscious body. And at this rate, he probably won't even wake up before that happens. The bodyguard then looked directly at Cha Sung-yeon. His expression became even more concerned. It's not just the elimination. Our VIP selection could also become invalid. If that happens, we'll have to find a completely new fighter. Cha Sung-yeon remained silent for a moment. Her face was impossible to read, but her mind was working rapidly. After a brief pause, she asked a direct question. "How much cash can I pull right now?" The bodyguard froze. Instantly, he understood what she was thinking. It looked like Cha Sung-yeon was actually considering using her own money. Calmly, she made her decision. If the problem is prize money, then I'll put my own money on the table. For her, this wasn't a gamble. It was a decision. The bodyguard visibly tensed. He hesitated before saying, "But if that money ends up being wasted dash." Cha Sung-yeon immediately cut him off. She didn't even let him finish. Her eyes remained fixed on the arena. Because the next announcement had already begun, the scene shifted back to the arena. A drone floated through the center, its mechanical voice echoing throughout the massive stadium. Briefing for the round of 16 will begin shortly. All 31 winning fighters are instructed to gather in the arena immediately. The enormous entrance doors slowly opened. Bright light poured into the arena. One by one, the 31 victorious fighters entered. silent guide drones glided alongside them. Among them was Miho. He walked in with a calm, yet intense presence. The moment he entered, his eyes immediately locked onto a familiar figure. Sunwoo, still unconscious, still lying on the arena floor. Miho's jaw tightened instantly. His fists clenched. For a moment, he couldn't even process what he was seeing. Why is this idiot sleeping here? He thought angrily. Frustration surged inside him. Someone needed to wake Sunwoo up before the next round began. But before anything could happen, the massive screen at the front of the arena suddenly lit up. The image sharpened. An imposing figure appeared. The director. Spreading his arms dramatically, he welcomed the fighters. His voice overflowed with excitement. Welcome, victorious players. And a special thank you to our 16 VIPs, whose presence has made this moment truly legendary. One by one, the VIPs appeared on the giant screen. Their faces were displayed in crystal-clear HD. The lineup began with manager Yenwoo, whose expression remained serious and unreadable. And it ended with his younger sister, Cha Sung-yeon, whose sharp gaze radiated authority and confidence. The director was clearly enjoying every second of the moment. The excitement in his voice hadn't faded at all as he prepared to reveal what would happen next. At the beginning of the scene, the director addressed everyone present and announced that selection for the round of 16 would now depend entirely on prize money rankings. Raising 3 fingers confidently, he made the declaration. Speaking directly to the VIP members, he explained that they now had to place their bets on the fighters they believed would generate the most profit in the next round. Then he added one final condition. You have only 30 seconds. Your time starts now. As the countdown appeared on the giant screen, Cha Sung-yeon immediately turned her attention toward her bodyguard. She wanted to know one thing. How big is the gap between Sunwoo and the fighter currently ranked 16th? Without wasting a second, the bodyguard began working on his device. His fingers moved rapidly as he scanned through the data. However, with every passing second, his expression became increasingly grim. Finally, he looked up and answered. There's a difference of 2 billion won. His tone grew even heavier, and that gap could become even larger during the final 10 seconds. Without the slightest hesitation, Cha Sung-yeon gave her order. Put everything we can access right now on Sunwoo. The bodyguard was visibly shocked. Almost pleading, he replied, We can cash out up to 4 billion won. But if this move fails and Sunwoo doesn't qualify, we'll lose everything. He took a deep breath before continuing. We should abandon Sunwoo and focus on someone else. But Cha Sung-yeon's decision was absolute. Her gaze never wavered. In a firm voice, she cut through all of his hesitation. Do exactly as I said. The bodyguard stared at her in disbelief. Unable to understand her reasoning, he finally asked, Why are you taking such a massive risk for one boy? Meanwhile, the countdown in the arena continued to tick away. Only the final seconds remained. A trace of irritation appeared in Cha Sung-yeon's eyes. Her voice became sharper. She clearly had no interest in explaining herself. Before another word could be spoken, the timer hit 0. The arena fell silent. Inside the VIP room, the bodyguard released a heavy breath. His entire body was tense. When he finally spoke, his voice was barely above a whisper. Yet every word carried the weight of a potential financial disaster. His hands trembled as he stared at the glowing number displayed on the screen. 4 billion won deposited. His expression twisted. Anger, frustration, and something even deeper. Grinding his teeth, he muttered coldly. We've already wasted enormous amounts of money keeping her brothers under control. Why take another risk this big? Cha Sung-yeon ignored the comment completely. There was only one thing she cared about. What are the new rankings? The bodyguard tapped the screen several times before answering. The rankings were hidden as soon as the countdown started. Cha Sung-yeon slowly exhaled. For a brief moment, her face became completely unreadable. Then she regained her composure. In a calm voice, she said, Then all we can do is wait for the announcement. The scene shifted back to the arena. The director appeared on the giant screen once again, radiating excitement. His energy was even higher than before. With a broad smile, he raised his arms and addressed the crowd. The moment everyone has been waiting for has finally arrived. The atmosphere instantly became tense. Every fighter, every VIP, every spectator focused their attention on the screen. The results of the round of 16 selection were about to be revealed. The prize money rankings were finally about to be revealed. The entire arena held its breath. Everyone's attention was fixed on the giant screen. The director began with the top 5 fighters. Their names appeared in bold letters across the massive display. Number 1, Cam. Number 2, Ryan. Number 3, Go Kong-ho. Number 4, Levi. Number 5, Motorim. Miho's eyes moved across the list. His expression remained completely neutral, until his gaze stopped on one particular name, Ryan. For a brief moment, his breathing halted, his fists tightened, his face darkened, every muscle in his body tensed. At that instant, Miho became certain of one thing. There was still another boxer inside this tournament. The director continued enjoying the suspense. Spreading his arms dramatically, he moved on to the next rankings. Number 6, Logan. Number 7, Amanda. Number 8, Go-hoon. Each of them had earned more than 6 billion won in prize money. Miho's expression tightened further. His eyes paused on Amanda's name. She had confidently secured a place in the top 10. A heavy feeling settled in his stomach. Amanda had made it, but he wasn't there. The tension inside the arena grew even denser. The director raised a hand and announced the next group. The screen changed once again. Number 11, Mal. Number 12, Bishop. Number 13, Bamboo. Number 14, Karma. Number 15, Ricardo. Inside the VIP room, the bodyguard's anxiety reached its peak. Clenching his teeth, he released a shaky breath. 15 names have already been revealed. There's only one spot left. Cha Sung-yeon showed no emotion. She merely lowered her head slightly. But deep down, she could already feel that the outcome had become painfully clear. Sunwoo probably hadn't qualified. Meanwhile, Sunwoo remained unconscious on the cold arena floor, completely unaware that his fate was being decided at that very moment. Then the director's voice echoed through the arena once more, cutting through the anticipation. His tone was confident and dramatic. And now, the final participant. The crowd became completely silent. This fighter has earned an astonishing 4.6 billion won in prize money. A moment later, a name and image flashed across the giant screen. Street Fighter Gubin. The arena instantly erupted. The number 4.6 billion won shone brightly beneath his portrait in bold letters. Inside the VIP room, Cha Sung-yeon's bodyguard froze. His entire body became stiff. His eyes widened in shock. His breathing stopped for a second. Only a faint whisper escaped his lips. The disbelief on his face was impossible to hide. One thought echoed repeatedly inside his head. We invested 4 billion won for nothing. The director, meanwhile, was still riding the excitement of the announcement. With a triumphant smile, he declared, "The top 16 fighters have now been decided. These are the competitors who have earned the highest amount of prize money so far." The arena slowly began processing the results. But Sunwoo still lay unconscious on the floor, completely unaware that his name had not appeared among the top 16. For the first time, Cha Sung-yeon's composure cracked. She slowly sank back into her seat. Disappointment filled her body language. Across from her, the bodyguard leaned forward. His face had darkened. His voice was low and tense. "We put in everything we had. Now all that's left are the company building, our corporate deposits, and a few shares." He looked directly at Cha Sung-yeon. Frustration burned in his eyes, but alongside it was genuine concern. No matter how much he thought about it, he still couldn't understand why she had been willing to take such an enormous risk for Sunwoo. Then the director made another announcement. For this round, several adjustments have been made to the arena. The moment he finished speaking, the entire ground began to shake. The structure of the arena started moving. The remaining participants stared in shock as the platform beneath their feet slowly began to rise. The entire crowd gasped. Higher and higher the arena climbed, and the height was terrifying. One fighter cautiously approached the edge and looked down. His eyes widened in horror. Below them were spikes. Deadly, razor-sharp spikes. Each steel spike was embedded deep into the floor, and streams of electricity continuously crackled across them. Then the director's voice echoed once more, this time accompanied by a creepy smile. He proudly introduced it as their brand new battlefield. A live feed of the deadly spikes appeared on the giant screen for everyone to see. The director explained clearly, "This round isn't just a fight against your opponents. It's also a fight against the battlefield itself. One wrong step could result in instant death." At the edge of the arena lay Sunwoo, motionless. His condition was so vulnerable that any careless fighter could easily send him over the edge. Inside the VIP room, Cha Sung-yeon's bodyguard had gone pale. He leaned forward, panic visible in his eyes. Only one fear occupied his mind. If the round started now, Sunwoo might die before the fight even truly began. In another VIP room, manager Yenwoo wore a look of twisted delight. His smile widened, and a sinister gleam appeared in his eyes. He was practically imagining Sunwoo falling onto the spikes below. The scene shifted back to the fighters. All of them stood before a massive screen, waiting for the final signal. The director spread his arms dramatically and officially started the round. The moment the signal was given, the arena descended into pure madness. Fighters crashed into one another with overwhelming aggression. Punches, kicks, bone-breaking blows. Everything felt less like a tournament and more like a battlefield. This wasn't a staged match. This was a real kill-or-be-killed fight. From the VIP room, Cha Sung-yeon's bodyguard watched in horror. His eyes constantly scanned the battlefield. Then he noticed something surprising. No one was attacking Sunwoo. A slow wave of relief spread across his face. The battle had become so intense that nobody had even noticed Sunwoo lying there unconscious. But beside him, Cha Sung-yeon remained serious. Meanwhile, the brutality inside the arena reached another level. A massive fighter delivered a devastating kick straight into his opponent's stomach. The victim's body flew toward the edge. He screamed as he fell. A sickening crunch echoed through the arena. Instantly, his number on the screen was crossed out with a red line. Participant 24, eliminated. The spectators were horrified, yet the battle showed no signs of slowing down. Then another fighter noticed Sunwoo's unconscious body. A cruel smile slowly appeared across his face, as if thinking, is this guy really going to survive just by sleeping through the match? The fighter cracked his knuckles and confidently started walking towards Sunwoo. His intention was obvious. He wanted to throw Sunwoo directly into the jaws of death. Inside the VIP room, Cha Sung-yeon panicked and shot up from her seat. Her eyes widened with fear. Her voice was filled with desperation. Sunwoo has to wake up now. The fighter swung his leg, but before the kick could land, a blur shot in from the side. A powerful punch slammed directly into the fighter's face. The impact was so overwhelming that his entire body was sent flying backward. Blood and spit sprayed through the air. Miho stood in front of Sunwoo. His fist was tightly clenched. Inside the VIP room, Cha Sung-yeon froze. Her expression completely changed. Miho had just saved Sunwoo. Back in the arena, Miho's frustration had finally reached its limit. Grinding his teeth, he turned towards Sunwoo's unconscious face and shouted, "Sunwoo, if you want to stay alive, then wake up now." But Sunwoo remained unconscious. And even worse, more danger was approaching. 3 fighters were already airborne. They were diving straight toward Miho and Sunwoo at full speed, carrying clear killing intent. And now, the real fight was about to begin. But Sunwoo was still unconscious, and even more danger was closing in on them. 3 fighters were already airborne, charging toward Miho and Sunwoo at full speed with clear killing intent. And now, the real fight had begun. The moment the 3 fighters rushed at him, Miho immediately dropped into his fighting stance. His mind was working at incredible speed. He knew that fighting 3 speed-enhanced opponents at once was almost impossible, but he had no choice. If he wanted to survive, he would have to rely on his skills and lightning-fast reflexes. Suddenly, Miho launched a series of precise punches. His fist slammed into the faces of 2 fighters with such force that both of them were sent crashing backward. But while focusing on those 2 opponents, something felt wrong. A chill ran through him. His instincts screamed a warning. Then he saw it. The 3rd fighter had silently slipped past him like a shadow amidst the chaos. Miho's eyes widened. The fighter was heading straight towards Sunwoo, who was still lying unconscious on the ground. Miho's entire body tensed. He tried to move, but he was too late. The fighter raised his leg. A deadly kick was moments away from landing. A wicked smile spread across his face. It looked like Sunwoo's game was finally over. But then, someone suddenly leaped into the battlefield from nowhere. It was Minhwa. There was a wild look in his eyes. Charging in at full speed, Minhwa drove his foot straight into the fighter's stomach. The kick was so powerful that the fighter was launched completely off the elevated platform. His body plummeted downward and crashed below. A thunderous impact echoed throughout the arena. Miho stood frozen in shock. Minhwa had just saved them, but there was something unsettling about the expression on Minhwa's face. It almost looked like he was enjoying every second of it. A question flashed through Miho's mind. Who exactly is Minhwa? But he didn't even have time to think. A new enemy appeared. The fighter's face was twisted with pure rage. He lowered into a stance and then exploded forward with incredible speed, becoming nothing more than a blur. His target was Sunwoo. Miho didn't hesitate for even a moment. He sprinted after him. Using his own incredible speed, he rapidly closed the gap. His eyes remained locked on the enemy. Without wasting a second, Miho pulled back his fist. Every ounce of strength gathered into a single strike. The enemy noticed him too late. He looked up. Shock filled his face as he realized how fast Miho had moved. But by then, it was already too late. Miho's fist smashed into his face. The fighter crashed into the ground. The force of the impact cracked the floor beneath him, and he didn't move again. But Miho didn't even get a moment to celebrate. Another fighter appeared out of nowhere with a bold, creepy grin and instantly locked Miho into a headlock. Miho struggled desperately. Breathing became difficult. His vision started to blur. His head spun. His strength was fading fast. The bald fighter leaned close to his ear and arrogantly whispered, "Anyone faster than me dies first." Miho's breaths grew shallow. His face turned pale. For a moment, it seemed like this was the end. Then Minin appeared again, just like before. With a precise strike from a single finger, he jabbed directly into the bald fighter's ear. The attack was so perfect that it ruptured the man's eardrum instantly. The fighter collapsed lifelessly to the ground. His evil grin vanished in an instant. At that exact moment, a beep echoed through the arena. The giant screen updated. Only 8 fighters remained. Miho stood in the middle of the battlefield, breathing heavily. His body trembled from the non-stop fighting. Minin walked over and extended a hand. Weakly, Miho grabbed it. He felt dizzy and could barely speak. Minin pulled him up and warned, "Things are about to get a lot harder." Confused, Miho asked, "What could possibly be harder than this?" Then he saw them. 4 fighters were slowly approaching. Their eyes were filled with malicious intent. It was obvious they had formed a team. The smallest fighter smirked and joked. "So, are you two planning to fight as a team now?" Another fighter with yellow hair laughed. "2 teams fighting each other? That's funny. Doesn't matter, though. Our team is going to win." The tension in the air became suffocating. Both sides stared each other down, ready for battle. One of the fighters spoke in a cold voice. "Actually, it's 4 against 3. Sun was still unconscious." The countdown started again. Miho and Minin were clearly outnumbered, but neither of them looked afraid. They were ready. The real battle was about to begin. The 4 enemies stood there with cruel smiles. One fighter wearing a black mask laughed darkly. "This death match is way too easy for us." Another added, "Let's eliminate the weak ones first." Without any warning, all 4 fighters charged forward with heavy steps, straight toward Miho, Minin, and the unconscious Sunwoo. Their movements radiated destructive intent. Miho's body tensed, ready to meet the attack head-on. Taking a deep breath, he stepped forward. The first fighter lunged at him. Without hesitation, Miho moved swiftly and drove a solid punch into the man's face. The blow was so powerful that the fighter was sent flying backward, causing another attacker to hesitate for a moment. That brief opening gave Miho a little breathing room, but he was far from safe. The remaining 2 fighters were already rushing at him from both sides with full force, and the real chaos was only beginning. Miho's eyes darted around frantically. His instincts were screaming at him. Do something. React. Move. At that moment, the yellow-haired fighter spotted an opening, a tiny gap in Miho's defense. He didn't waste even a second. Launching himself forward, he spread his arms wide and delivered a vicious clothesline straight into Miho. Miho was completely caught off guard. The impact was brutal. With a heavy thud, his neck snapped backward. A sharp wave of pain shot through his body, as if someone had smashed a hammer into his head. His already injured neck had been damaged again, and this time it was bad. Before Miho could even recover, Minin moved. He shot into action like a blur. Leaping through the air as if gravity didn't exist, he crashed directly into the yellow-haired fighter. His foot slammed into the man's face with incredible force, sending him flying across the arena. The attack on Miho was stopped. A crazed gleam shone in Minin's eyes. Once again, he had saved Miho from suffering even more damage. But that relief lasted only a few seconds. A bulky fighter, built like a wall of muscle, seized the opportunity and grabbed Minin from behind. A sadistic smirk spread across his face. He tightened his grip around Minin's neck, squeezing as if he intended to crush the life out of him. Minin's body tensed. His breathing began to slow, but his willpower remained unbroken. He gritted his teeth and continued resisting. On the other side, Miho couldn't stand watching his ally suffer. Without thinking, he charged forward. Both fists clenched. Every ounce of strength poured into his sprint as he rushed to save Minin. But just as he was about to reach them, the fighter wearing the black mask suddenly appeared. A powerful dropkick slammed into Miho's back. His body was driven toward the ground. A painful cry escaped his mouth as blood spilled from his lips. The attack had caught him completely off guard. He lost his balance instantly. His vision blurred. All he could hear were the chaotic sounds around him, but he didn't have time to process any of it. Then another fighter, moving like a blur, launched himself through the air. His target was Sunwoo, still unconscious, still lying helplessly on the ground. Miho's heart nearly stopped. Every part of his body screamed at him to do something. Run. Save him. But he was too far away. The only thing he could do was shout. A desperate scream tore from his throat. Sun Wu remained unconscious, completely unaware that death was descending toward him. The airborne fighter had already pulled his leg back. The kick was aimed directly at Sun Wu's head. Time seemed to slow. Every second felt frozen. Miho couldn't do anything. He was too far away. Too late. But Menon hadn't given up. Gathering the last of his strength, he managed to free one arm from the choking grip. Then, with perfect timing, he struck. A powerful pinch shot into the airborne fighter's leg. The impact altered the kick's trajectory just enough. The fighter's foot slammed into the ground with tremendous force. The entire floor shook. Tremors raced across the arena. Menon's intervention had changed the attack by mere inches. But those inches saved Sun Wu's life. The kick missed his head by only a tiny margin. The breath trapped in Miho's chest finally escaped. For the moment, Sun Wu was safe. But the consequences of the attack were far from over. The ground began cracking even faster. The arena itself started to break apart. The floor splintered like shattered glass. Miho's eyes widened in horror. The arena was collapsing, and Sun Wu was still unconscious. As the platform crumbled beneath them, Sun Wu's body began sliding toward the edge. His life was now only seconds away from the electrified spikes waiting below. Miho's breath caught in his throat. He stared downward, at the deadly spikes, waiting for Sun Wu. Miho took off running without a second thought. Adrenaline surged through his veins. But the distance was too great. He knew he wouldn't reach Sun Wu in time. A single thought echoed inside his head. Sun Wu, get up. Please wake up. The arena floor continued collapsing beneath them. The deadly spikes were now directly below. At that same moment, in the VIP room, all the color drained from Cha's face. She watched the scene unfold on the screen. Her eyes widened in terror. Unable to stop herself, she screamed. This couldn't be happening. Inside the arena, Miho felt his heart sink. His eyes remained locked on Sun Wu. He was falling, and he had already reached the spikes. Miho's voice was filled with desperation. He wanted only one thing: for Sun Wu to wake up, for him to survive somehow. Then suddenly, a tremendous crash echoed from below the arena. Sun Wu had fallen. Miho could only watch. There was nothing he could do. Both his and Cha's hopes shattered in an instant. Everything was over. The fighter wearing the black mask burst into laughter. With a sinister grin, he said, "Now it's really 4 against 2. All that's left is finishing you off." But Menon had no intention of backing down. Letting out a mocking laugh, he replied, "Who said this is 4 against 2? Miho looked at him, part confused, part hopeful. For the first time, curiosity replaced the despair on his face. What did he mean? Then the scene shifted. Below the arena, Sun Wu's body remained motionless, but his eyes slowly opened. The floor beneath him had completely collapsed. Now he was balancing on a narrow ledge directly above the electrified spikes. One wrong move would mean instant death. He was only seconds away from a fatal fall. But now, he was back. Meanwhile, in the VIP room, Cha's bodyguard grabbed his head in disbelief. The shock on his face was unmistakable. He couldn't believe Sun Wu was still alive. When the floor had collapsed, that very collapse had ended up saving his life. The bodyguard practically shouted. His voice carried both amazement and excitement. Back in the arena, Miho was struggling desperately. One of the fighters had locked a chokehold around his neck. Miho's vision was gradually becoming blurry. Breathing was getting harder and harder. Then a powerful voice echoed from below the arena. It was cold, focused, authoritative. The moment it rang out, it felt as if the entire battlefield had changed. The voice gave a clear command. "I'll eliminate the fighters one by one. The rest of you make sure nobody reaches the top." Hearing those words, Miho and Menon exchanged a glance. Without hesitation, both of them moved immediately. Even while being choked, they dropped to the ground and pinned down the 2 fighters beneath them. Nearby, the black-masked fighter watched everything unfold. A wicked grin spread across his lips. The excitement inside him was growing. The chaos was about to reach a whole new level. Below the arena, Sun Wu took a deep breath. His mind rapidly analyzed the situation. The arena had been completely destroyed. The enemies were closing in, and the battle was far from over. But for Sun Wu, this wasn't the end. Gathering every last bit of strength he had left, he launched himself upward with an explosive jump. Bursting through the shattered remains of the arena below, he leaped toward the surface. He emerged like a natural disaster, ready to change the entire game. The moment Sun Wu landed on solid ground, two fighters immediately charged at him. Their eyes burned with rage and determination. The fighter who had Miho trapped in a chokehold glanced over and laughed. "Get him too. He's alone." But the instant Sun Wu landed, the black-masked fighter appeared behind him at lightning speed and locked him into a chokehold. His voice dripped with confidence. He tightened his grip as if victory was already guaranteed. From a distance, the yellow-haired fighter smirked. To him, the whole situation looked like a game. Mockingly, he said, "Sun was finished. After this, I'll take care of the rest myself." But then something unexpected happened. Using nothing but raw strength, Sun Wu pried the black-masked fighter's arms away from his body. He broke free from the chokehold. The yellow-haired fighter's eyes widened in disbelief. The shock was written all over his face. The situation was growing desperate. Lowering his body, the yellow-haired fighter launched himself forward in a deadly charge. His objective was simple: kill Sun Wu. But Sun Wu was completely ready. In the very next moment, Sun Wu grabbed the black-masked fighter's head and hurled him directly into the charging yellow-haired fighter. The collision was devastating. The impact echoed throughout the entire arena. Both fighters crashed onto the ground like rag dolls. Just moments ago, they had looked like deadly threats. Now they were nothing more than motionless bodies. The giant screen flashed. Only 6 survivors remained. Sun Wu's team needed to eliminate just 2 more opponents to secure victory. A strange gleam appeared in Minen's eyes. He let out a small laugh of satisfaction after seeing how effortlessly Sun Wu had taken out 2 fighters. Then Minen turned toward the opponent who was still choking him. A confident smile spread across his face. "I'm getting bored. It's time to finish this." His opponent looked confused, but Minen didn't give him a chance to react. Using the strength of his core, he suddenly leaped into the air, dragging the fighter up with him while keeping him trapped in a tight chokehold. Panic instantly appeared in the man's eyes. He screamed for help, but Minen had become completely ruthless. In midair, he reversed his momentum. Then he slammed both of them downward with full force. The impact was monstrous. The arena floor cracked beneath them. The fighter who had been holding Minen lost consciousness instantly. The screen beeped once again. Another competitor had been eliminated. Only 5 survivors remained. Sun Wu looked toward Miho and the final remaining enemy fighter. His expression was cold, determined. There was only one emotion left in his eyes. "Finish it." The fighter who had been holding Miho became so terrified by the sight of Sun Wu that he loosened his chokehold in panic. Kim carefully studied Sun Wu's battered condition. Concern was visible in his eyes as he spoke in a low, serious voice. "I can only guarantee about 3 hours for you at most. The VIP selection event will begin exactly 3 hours from now." Sun Wu lay inside the sleeping pod, his entire body covered in injuries from the brutal matches he had survived. Every muscle ached, and even breathing felt difficult. Yet despite his condition, there was still determination burning in his eyes. Kim adjusted his glasses and continued. "Your body has taken far more damage than it should have. Under normal circumstances, you shouldn't even be conscious right now. The fact that you're still alive is already a miracle." The doctors around them continued their treatment while monitoring Sun Wu's vital signs. Machines beeped quietly in the background as medicine flowed through tubes connected to his body. Sun Wu remained silent for a moment before asking, "Will I be able to fight?" Kim's expression darkened. "To be honest, I don't know." The answer was blunt and straightforward. "You've pushed your body beyond its limits again and again. Your organs are damaged, your muscles are exhausted, and you've lost a dangerous amount of blood. Even if you recover enough to stand, there's no guarantee you'll be able to perform at your usual level." Sun Wu closed his eyes briefly. The memories of the tournament flashed through his mind. Rio, the death match, Miho and Minen risking their lives to protect him, Han Mince's taunts, and finally, surviving long enough to reach the next stage. After everything he had gone through, quitting wasn't an option. Kim seemed to understand what Sun Wu was thinking. "You're not planning to withdraw, are you?" Sun Wu opened his eyes and looked directly at him. "No." The answer came without hesitation. Kim sighed deeply. "That's exactly what I expected." For a few moments, silence filled the recovery room. Then Kim's expression became more serious. "There is another problem." Sun Wu frowned. "What is it?" Kim glanced toward the closed door before speaking. "The VIP selection event isn't just a meeting." Sun Wu immediately sensed something important. Kim continued, The 16 VIPs will personally evaluate the remaining fighters. Some of them are looking for talented warriors. Some want loyal subordinates. Some are interested in building teams for future rounds. His eyes narrowed, and some of them have much darker intentions. Sunwoo listened quietly. Kim leaned closer. You need to be careful about who chooses you. The atmosphere inside the room suddenly became heavier. Not every invitation is an opportunity, Kim warned. Sometimes it's a trap. Sunwoo's gaze sharpened. For the first time since waking up, his attention shifted away from his injuries and toward the game being played behind the tournament itself. The fights inside the arena were brutal, but the battles outside the arena might be even more dangerous. 3 hours remained until the VIP selection event, and somewhere inside the facility, 16 powerful VIPs were already deciding which fighters they wanted for themselves. Among them was Cha Sung-yen, who had risked 4 billion won on Sunwoo, and among them was manager Yenwoo, who wanted nothing more than to see Sunwoo fail. The next stage of the tournament was about to begin, and this time, the battlefield wouldn't just be the arena. It would be politics, influence, alliances, and betrayal. So within that time, I'll support your recovery as much as possible. One of the doctors gently placed a mask over Sunwoo's face, and the treatment finally began. Kim's thoughts drifted elsewhere. He quietly muttered to himself, "And both of us need you." He adjusted his glasses. The concern on his face was impossible to hide. But the most important thing for you is finding out who is really holding your parents captive, isn't it? Sunwoo's consciousness slowly began to fade. His eyelids grew heavy. Without saying another word, he closed his eyes and drifted into sleep. The scene then shifted to VIP room 16, where Cha and her bodyguard were waiting for Sunwoo. The bodyguard was becoming increasingly impatient. With only a few minutes remaining, he walked over to a nearby drone, irritation visible on his face. There are only a few minutes left. He still hasn't shown up. The drone responded in its usual calm mechanical voice. Player Sunwoo has selected another room and is currently attending a meeting with someone else. The bodyguard's eyes widened. The drone continued. As a result, contacting player Sunwoo before the match is no longer possible. After a brief pause, it added, "Furthermore, no participant is allowed to join any additional meetings at this time." The bodyguard clenched his jaw. Meanwhile, Cha remained silent. Her expression was unreadable, but there was a faint tension in her eyes. Whatever meeting Sunwoo had chosen seemed important enough for him to ignore her invitation. At that exact moment, the director's voice echoed throughout the arena. His excitement was impossible to miss. "All right, everyone." His voice boomed through the massive speakers. "We will now begin the selection event for the round of 16. The atmosphere instantly grew tense. Fighters, VIPs, and spectators all focused their attention on the next stage of the tournament. The director spread his arms dramatically and shouted, "Let the round begin." The arena erupted with anticipation as the selection event officially started. If you enjoyed the video, make sure to leave a like. Let me know in the comments which part you found the most interesting. And if you haven't subscribed to the channel yet, be sure to do so and press the bell icon so you don't miss any future updates. See you in the next video. Until then, take care and keep smiling.